Have you ever stopped to wonder why money feels so different from other things? We hold a dollar bill, or we see numbers on a screen, and it's just money. But our brains don't actually treat it like a simple tool or a piece of paper. Instead, our minds see money in a very special, sometimes strange way. Here's the thing. Our brains are designed to understand the world through our senses. We can touch a book, smell food, hear music. These are concrete things. Money, especially today, is often just an idea. It's a promise, a number in a bank account, something digital. And because it's not always a physical thing we can hold, our brains have to work harder to make sense of it. They attach feelings and meanings to it that go far beyond just its value. Think back to a long, long time ago. People didn't have money like we do now. If you wanted a tool, you might trade a basket of berries for it. That was direct. You saw the berries, you saw the tool. You understood the value in a simple way. Later, people used precious metals like gold or silver coins. These had a physical weight, a shine, something you could feel and trust. And that's why it mattered. The physical item represented the value. But as societies grew, money became more abstract. Now, we use plastic cards or phones to pay. There's no physical exchange of gold. It's just numbers moving around. So, our brains, which are still wired in many ways like those ancient brains, struggle a bit. We don't always feel the cost of something the same way when we tap a card versus handing over crisp bills. It's almost like our brain thinks it's not as real if we don't physically part with something. Here's an example. Imagine you've saved up for a new video game. If you saved $5 a week from chores, and you have a stack of dollar bills, watching that stack shrink as you hand it over to buy the game feels very real. You literally see your effort, your time, disappearing. But if your parents give you a gift card with the exact amount on it, and you use that, it feels different, doesn't it? The money on the gift card might not feel as yours or as hard-earned in the same way, even though it represents the same value. Our brain separates that gift card money into a different mental pot than our chore money. It's not logical, but it happens. We treat it like fun money or free money, even though it's still money. This shows us something deep. Money isn't just about math or numbers. It's about how our minds categorize it, what feelings we attach to it, and the stories we tell ourselves about where it came from. Our brain creates these invisible mental divisions for money, almost like different compartments, and it treats each compartment a little differently. Understanding this can help us see why we make certain choices with our money, sometimes without even realizing why. It reminds us that our relationship with money is less about cold, hard facts and more about the quiet workings of our own minds. Have you ever noticed how some numbers just seem to stick in your mind more than others? Like, you see a price, and even if you find something similar later for less, that first number keeps buzzing around in your head. It's like a quiet force, pulling your thoughts in a certain direction, even if you don't realize it. Here's the thing. Our minds often grab onto the very first piece of information they get about something, especially numbers. This first number then becomes like an anchor. Imagine a ship dropping an anchor in the ocean. That anchor stays put, and the ship can only move so far from it. Our brains do something similar with numbers. The first price or number we see for an item or an idea becomes our anchor point. This is a real psychological trick, something experts call the anchoring effect. It means that this first number, even if it's completely random or made up, heavily influences how we judge every other number that comes after it. So, if you see a really high price first, every price after it might seem low by comparison, even if those low prices are still quite high. And the opposite is true too. People, especially those selling things, have probably known about this idea for a long, long time, even before psychologists gave it a fancy name. Think about markets in olden times. A seller might shout out a very high price for something, knowing it's too much. But that big number sets a high starting point in your mind. Then, when they lower the price, it feels like you're getting a great deal, even if it's still more than what the item is truly worth. It shows us how easily our minds can be guided, sometimes without us even realizing it. Let's say you're really excited about getting a new pair of cool sneakers. You go online and see them advertised for $180. That's the first price you see. It sticks. Then, maybe a week later, you find the exact same sneakers at another store, on sale for $120. Your brain immediately thinks, wow, $120 is such a great deal. I'm saving $60. You're happy. But here's the problem. What if, deep down, those sneakers are only really worth about $90 to make? That original $180 price, the anchor, made $120 seem amazing, even though it's still more than the shoe's basic value. Your brain used that $180 as a reference point, making $120 feel like a steal. This can help you understand how stores often put original prices next to sale prices. That original price is the anchor, making the sale price look better. Understanding this isn't about feeling tricked. It's about knowing a little more about how your own mind works. It's about realizing that our first impressions, especially with numbers, can quietly shape our later choices. It reminds us to pause, to look beyond the first number, and to think about what something is truly worth to us, not just what the first price suggests. It's an invitation to be a little more curious, a little more aware about the subtle ways our thoughts about money are formed. It helps us see that sometimes the true value of something isn't just a number, but how we choose to see it. Have you ever noticed how the same amount of money can feel different depending on the words you use to describe it? Like paying a fee versus a fine, or saving versus hoarding. It's curious, isn't it? The numbers might be the same, but the feelings are completely different. Money, at its core, is just a tool. It's numbers on a screen, or pieces of paper and metal, but our minds don't see it that way. We see what the words attached to it tell us. Words wrap around money like a feeling, giving it weight, or lightness, or even a sense of dread. Here's the thing. Words don't just describe reality. They help create it, especially when it comes to ideas like money. Think way back in time, before coins or bills existed. People traded, right? They exchanged goods or promises. The very first ways people talked about value weren't just about what something was worth. They were about trust and fairness and connection. A debt wasn't just a number. It was a social bond, a promise to be fulfilled. The word owe carried a deep sense of responsibility. Philosophers have long explored how language shapes our world. They say that without words, many of our complex ideas wouldn't exist in the way they do. Money is one of those ideas. We needed words to agree on its value, to explain its transfer, to understand its power. So, the words we chose, even centuries ago, started building the very foundation of how we think about wealth and poverty today. Let's say you're given $20. Now, imagine you're told to spend it. How does that feel? Maybe a little free, a little fun. You can buy something you want. But what if you're told to invest it? Suddenly, it feels more serious, right? You think about the future, about growth, about being smart. The same $20, but the word invest changes how you think and feel about it. Or consider this. You have a chore, and you're told you'll get a payment for it. That sounds like work, a fair exchange. But what if it's called an allowance? It feels more like a gift, something you get just for being part of the family. Even if you still do chores, the word makes the feeling different. This also happens when money is taken away. If you park your bike in the wrong spot and get a fine, how does that feel? Probably annoying, like a punishment. But if you pay a fee to enter a cool museum, that feels like getting something in return, a fair exchange for an experience. Or a donation to a charity feels good, like you're helping. The same act of money leaving your pocket takes on totally different meanings and feelings based on just one word. So the words aren't just labels, they're emotional triggers. They tell our brains how to react to money, how to value it, and how to use it. Understanding this can help you see money in a new light. It's not just a cold, hard number. It's a living concept, shaped by the language we share and the stories we tell with our words. When you choose your words carefully, you can start to reshape your own feelings about money, making it a tool that serves you rather than controls you. And that's why it matters. Have you ever thought about how different feelings can be, even for the same amount of stuff? Like, what if you found $20 on the ground? You'd probably feel pretty good, right? a little happy jolt. But what if you lost $20? Like, it slipped out of your pocket and now it's just gone. Which one would sting more? For most of us, losing that $20 would feel much, much worse than finding $20 felt good. It might even stick with you longer. This isn't just about money either. It's a deep part of how our minds work. Psychologists call it loss aversion. Here's the thing. We tend to feel the pain of losing something about twice as strongly as we feel the joy of gaining the same thing. So, why are we built this way? Imagine our ancestors, thousands and thousands of years ago. Their lives were tough. Finding extra berries was great, a nice bonus. But losing a tool or having a meager harvest could mean serious trouble. It might mean not surviving the winter. Protecting what you already had, your food, your shelter, your safety, was super important. It was a matter of life and death. Our brains developed to be extra sensitive to losses because those losses often had bigger, more immediate dangers attached to them. This survival instinct is still wired into us, even when we're just talking about money in our modern world. Our ancient brains still whisper, "Hold on to what you have." Think about playing a simple video game. Let's say you're collecting coins. Each coin you pick up gives you a little thrill, a small boost to your score. Now imagine a level where you suddenly lose coins. Maybe you fall into a trap and some spill out. That feeling of watching your coin count go down, even if it's only a few, often feels much more frustrating, more unfair than the joy you got from picking up a bunch more. It's like your mind is screaming, "No, not my coins." Even if you then earn those coins back and more, the memory of losing them can stick. Or think about a favorite pen. If you found a really cool new pen, you'd be happy. But if you lost your absolute favorite pen, the one you always use, you'd likely be much more upset. The negative feeling of loss outweighs the positive feeling of gain. Understanding this about ourselves can be really powerful. It helps us see why we sometimes make certain choices with our money, or even just our things. We might hold on to something we don't really need just because the thought of losing it feels worse than the benefit of letting it go. It's not about being greedy or bad. It's just how our minds are wired from ancient times. Knowing this doesn't mean you won't feel the sting of loss, but it can help you understand why you feel it. It allows you to pause, breathe, and remember that this feeling is a natural part of being human. And that's okay. It's a reminder that our feelings about money, just like our feelings about everything else, are often tied to ancient instincts we're still learning to navigate in a brand new world. Have you ever bought something, maybe a game or a snack, and later realized it wasn't really what you wanted? It happens. But then, here's the tricky part. Did you keep spending more on it, or stick with it, even when it made no sense? Why do we sometimes hold on to things, or keep putting money into them, when we know deep down they're not good deals anymore? Here's the thing. Our minds play a quiet trick on us. It's called the sunk cost fallacy. Think of it like this. Sunk means gone forever, like a ship that sank to the bottom of the ocean. It's money, or time, or effort that you've already spent and can't get back. The trick is, our brains tell us we have to keep going, have to keep putting more in, because if we stop now, all that sunk stuff will be a total waste. It feels like quitting means losing even more. This isn't a new idea. Humans have felt this pull for a very, very long time. Even ancient thinkers, long before psychology was a word, noticed how hard it was for people to give up on things they had poured their lives into. Imagine a farmer who spent years digging a well that never found water. It would be incredibly hard for them to stop digging and start a new well somewhere else, even if the old spot clearly wasn't working. The effort they already put in felt too big to abandon. It's a deep part of our nature, this struggle with letting go. We are wired to dislike waste, and our brains sometimes confuse not wasting with continuously investing. Let's think about it with something you might know. Imagine you bought a ticket to a movie. You picked it out, you paid for it, and you're excited. You get to the theater, sit down, and 10 minutes in, you realize the movie is really, really boring. It's just not good. Maybe the story makes no sense, or you just don't like it at all. But what do most people do? They stay, right? They sit there for another hour and a half, bored, maybe even annoyed. Why? Because you already paid for the ticket. That money is sunk. It's gone forever. And your brain whispers, if I leave, I've wasted that money. But here's the truth. That money is already gone. Whether you stay and suffer through the movie, or you get up and leave. By staying, you aren't making the money unsunk. All you're doing is wasting something even more precious. Your time, your energy, and the chance to do something you actually enjoy. You're giving up future happiness because of a past choice. Learning when to let go, when to walk away from something that's no longer serving you, is a quiet kind of power. It's not about being wasteful, it's about being smart with your future. It's about understanding that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is to quit, to simply step away from something that's holding you back, no matter how much you've already put into it. The past is a lesson, not a prison. And truly letting go is how you make space to move forward. Have you ever thought about how a dollar bill feels different depending on how you got it? Is the $20 your aunt gave you for your birthday the same in your mind as the $20 you earned mowing a neighbor's lawn? They are both $20. But for many of us, they feel different. One might feel like fun money, and the other like work money, or money for saving. This is not just a strange feeling. It's a real way our minds play a trick on us. Our brains give different parts of our money different secret jobs. Here's the thing. Money is just numbers or paper. $1 is always $1. But our minds do not always see it that way. We mentally sort our money into different buckets, like we are giving each pile a unique purpose or personality. This is a very old human habit. For a very long time, people have grouped things together to make sense of the world. Think about how ancient farmers might set aside grain specifically for planting next year's crops, and other grain for eating now, and another for trading. Even though it was all grain, they had given it separate jobs in their minds. It helped them plan and feel more in control of their future. Our minds do something similar with money today. We create these mental accounts, even if we do not realize it. So, when that $20 from your aunt arrives, your brain might silently label it gift money. This kind of money often feels lighter, less serious. You might spend it on something fun, like ice cream, a new video game, or a movie ticket, and not feel much guilt. It is almost like a bonus, something you did not work for, so it is okay to enjoy it without much thought. But then, when you get $20 for mowing the lawn, your brain might put that into a different bucket labeled hard-earned money. This money might feel heavier. You might think about saving it, or spending it on something more practical, like school supplies or a new book. You might even feel a little sting if you spend it carelessly. It is the same amount of money, but because your mind gave it a different job, your feelings about spending it change completely. This happens all the time. Money put into a savings account for a future goal, like a college fund, feels very different from money in your pocket for daily spending. The money for college has a serious, long-term job. The money for daily spending has a short, quick job. Our minds do this because it helps us organize our finances and make spending decisions. It helps us feel like we have a plan, even if that plan is just to enjoy a gift without worry. But this mental sorting can also lead to us making choices that do not always make sense when you look at the numbers alone. Knowing this about our minds can be really helpful. It shows us that our feelings about money are not always about the money itself. They are about the stories we tell ourselves about where it came from, or what we think its purpose should be. It means that to truly understand how we use money, we also need to understand the quiet, secret jobs we give it in our own minds. It is a gentle reminder that our inner world, our thoughts and feelings, shapes our decisions in ways we might not even notice at first. Have you ever noticed how sometimes everyone suddenly seems to have the same thing? Maybe it's a specific brand of sneakers, a certain style of backpack, or even a new app that everyone is using. It's like one day, nobody has it, and the next, it's everywhere. Why does this happen? This is about how we often look to others when we decide what to buy. It's not always obvious. You see someone with cool new shoes, and suddenly, those shoes seem really great. Or maybe a lot of people in your favorite online game start using a certain skin, and you think, I should probably get that too. We are social creatures. We watch what others do. We learn from them. And when it comes to spending money, this looking around can really shape our choices. It's like our brains are constantly checking, what's everyone else doing? This isn't just about wanting to fit in, though that's a big part of it. It's also about trusting what others have already picked. If many people like something, our brains might think, well, it must be good, right? This isn't a new idea, not by a long shot. Think way back, before phones or even big cities. Imagine ancient human groups. If one person found a good spot for berries, others would follow. If one person wore a certain kind of warm fur, others would probably copy to stay warm too. It was a simple way to survive. You saw what worked for others and you copied it. This idea of copying isn't just about keeping up with the latest trends. It's deeply woven into how humans have always learned and lived together. People who think deeply about life have talked for centuries about how much we are shaped by the groups we belong to. We are always, in some way, part of a crowd. And the crowd often moves together even when it comes to cash. Here's an example you might know. Think about a new smartphone model. When it first comes out, some people get it. Then, your friends get it. Maybe a famous person you follow online gets it. Suddenly, it feels like everyone has it or is talking about it. And even if your old phone works perfectly fine, a little thought might pop into your head. Maybe, I need that new phone too. This isn't because you suddenly discovered a new amazing feature you can't live without. It's more about the feeling of being part of something, or not wanting to be left out. You see the crowd moving towards that new phone, and your own desire to join the movement grows. This is often called social proof. The more people who do something, the more proof there is that it's the right or good thing to do. So, what does this mean for you and your money? It means being aware that your choices are not always just your choices. Sometimes, they are whispers from the crowd around you. It's a natural human tendency to look at what others have, what they value. But true freedom with your money and true understanding of yourself comes from asking a deeper question. Do I really want this, or do I just want what everyone else has? Taking a moment to pause, to look inside instead of just looking around, can help you spend your cash in ways that truly serve you, and not just the latest wave everyone else is riding. It's about finding your own path, even when the crowd is heading in a different direction. It's a quiet strength, choosing what matters to you. Have you ever felt a sudden, strong pull to get something, not because you desperately needed it, but because it was labeled limited edition? Maybe it was a special pair of sneakers, a unique video game item, or a snack that was only available for a short time. Why does just a few simple words, like limited edition, make us feel like we absolutely must have something, even if we didn't care about it a moment before? Here's the thing. Our minds are wired in interesting ways. When something is presented as scarce, meaning there isn't much of it or it won't be around for long, our brains automatically assign it more value. It's not just about the item itself. It's about the idea that if we don't get it now, we might miss out forever. And missing out can feel a lot worse than simply not gaining something new. Think back through history. For thousands of years, humans survived by valuing what was rare. Fresh water in a desert, a rich hunting ground, a specific type of stone for tools. These things were crucial for survival, and they weren't always easy to find. Our ancestors learned to act quickly when a rare resource appeared. That deep, ancient instinct is still quietly humming inside us today. We still link rarity with importance, with something precious. Diamonds, for example, are valued not just for their sparkle, but because they are rare and hard to find. Spices from far-off lands were once worth more than gold because they were so difficult to get. Consider a popular online game that releases a new character skin or a special weapon, but announces it will only be available for one weekend. Before the announcement, you might not have even thought about that specific skin. But once you hear it's limited, a new feeling kicks in. Suddenly, you might start thinking, everyone else will have it, and I won't. Or, this makes my character look unique, and I can only get it now. The desire isn't just for the pixels on the screen, it's for the feeling of being special, or for avoiding the regret of missing out. This is a very common psychological trick, called the scarcity principle. It makes us believe that if something is hard to get, it must be valuable, maybe even more valuable than it truly is. So, When you see that limited edition tag next time, take a moment. Pause and simply notice how you feel. Does it make you want the item more? Does it create a sense of urgency? Understanding this trick helps you see beyond the clever marketing. It lets you ask yourself, do I really want this because I need it? Or because my brain is telling me it's special just because it's rare? True value isn't always about how many there are in the world. Sometimes, the most valuable things are those that bring us real joy, real use, or real connection, whether they are rare or not. Knowing this helps us make choices that feel right for us, not just choices driven by a fear of missing out. Have you ever wondered why sometimes your money just seems to vanish? It's not like you bought anything huge. No new phone, no big concert tickets, just little things, here and there. A drink after school, a snack from the convenience store, an app upgrade. But then, poof, your budget is empty, and you're left wondering what happened. Here's the thing about those tiny, almost invisible expenses. Our minds often trick us into thinking they don't matter. We see a few dollars, a dollar, maybe even just cents, and think, that's nothing. We dismiss it. But this is one of the quietest, most powerful, psychological tricks our own brains play on us when it comes to money. We fail to see the steady, silent march of these small amounts gathering into a much larger force. Think about it like water. A single raindrop falling on a rock does nothing. You wouldn't even notice it. But what happens when millions of raindrops fall on that same spot, day after day, year after year? Eventually, a mighty canyon is carved. The Grand Canyon wasn't formed by one giant sudden event. It was the slow, persistent work of tiny drops, eroding the rock over endless stretches of time. Each drop felt like nothing, but their combined effort shaped an entire landscape. Ancient thinkers understood this idea. Even if they weren't talking about money directly, they spoke of habits, both good and bad, as tiny threads. One thread seems weak, but weave hundreds, thousands of these threads together, and you get a rope strong enough to hold anything. The philosopher Aristotle, centuries ago, talked about how our character isn't built in big leaps, but in the small, repeated actions we choose every single day. He meant that what we do consistently, even in little ways, eventually becomes who we are. It's the same with our money. What we spend consistently, even in little ways, shapes our financial future. So, let's think about that daily snack after school. Maybe it's just a soda and a bag of chips. Let's say that costs you $3. Seems small, right? But what if you do that every school day? 5 days a week, for 36 weeks of school. $3 times 5 days is $15 a week. $15 a week times 36 weeks is $540. $540 just for soda and chips. That's a good amount of money. That's money that could have bought you a new video game console, or helped fund a big trip, or started a real savings account for something important in your future. This isn't about guilt. This is about noticing. It's about understanding that every small choice, every tiny spend, isn't just a fleeting moment of pleasure. It's a single drop in a bucket. And those drops, one by one, fill the bucket, sometimes to overflowing, sometimes until it's completely empty of what you really need. The trick is to step back and see the bucket, not just the single drop. To recognize the silent, steady power of accumulation, both for good and for trouble. Because when you see the whole picture, you gain a quiet kind of power over your choices. You can decide if you want to carve a canyon of debt or build a mountain of opportunity, one small, thoughtful step at a time. Have you ever noticed how, sometimes, when you're given options, one just feels right? Even if you can't quite say why. It's almost like your mind is gently pulled toward it. You might think you're making a free choice, and, in a way, you are. But sometimes, a hidden helper is at work, quietly guiding your decision without you even seeing it. Here's how it works. Imagine you have two good things to pick from. Maybe they're both pretty good, and it's hard to decide between them. They might be two different apps for your phone, or two different kinds of snacks. You weigh them in your mind. Is this one better than that one? It's a bit of a struggle. But then, a third option appears. This third option isn't really meant for you to choose it. It's often a bit worse than one of the first two, but clearly better than the other. Its whole job is to make one of the Original choices look much, much better. People have known about this trick for a long, long time. It's not some new invention from the internet age. Ancient thinkers, even without brain scans or psychology books, understood that our minds don't always make decisions in a straight line. We compare things. We look for what seems like the best deal or the smartest pick. Our brains are wired to do this quickly, sometimes without us even realizing it. We are always trying to make sense of the world by putting things next to each other and seeing which one stands out. This isn't about being right or wrong. It's just how we are built to navigate our choices, by weighing one thing against another. The third, less appealing option acts like a ruler, making one of the other options seem clearly superior, almost a no-brainer. Think about going to the movies, for example. You walk up to the counter, and you see popcorn. There's a small size for $5 and a large size for $10. It's a tough choice, right? Maybe the large seems too big or too expensive for just one person. You might lean towards the small, or maybe just skip it. But then the cinema adds a medium size. It costs $9.5, and it's only a little bit bigger than the small. Now, suddenly that large $10 popcorn doesn't look so expensive anymore, does it? It seems like a much better deal than the medium, which is almost the same price but gives you much less. You probably wouldn't pick the medium popcorn. It looks like a bad deal, but its presence makes the large seem like a fantastic value. And boom, you just bought the largest popcorn, feeling smart about your choice. The medium size was the sneaky third option, there just to make the large one shine. This isn't about someone trying to trick you in a mean way. It's simply how our brains process information when faced with choices. It reminds us that our decisions, even the simple ones, can be shaped in ways we don't always see. It's a quiet understanding. When you know how your mind works, you start to see the world a little differently. You become more aware of the subtle whispers that guide your choices. And in that awareness, there's a quiet power. Not to avoid everything, but to choose with eyes wide open, truly deciding what you value, instead of just following a path someone else, or even your own automatic brain, set for you. It's about being truly in charge of your own mind. Have you ever stood in front of a giant wall of snacks or scrolled through endless shows on a streaming service and felt frozen? It's a strange feeling, isn't it? We often think that having more choices is always better. The more options, the more likely we are to find exactly what we want. But here's the thing. Sometimes, too many choices can actually stop us from choosing anything at all. It can make buying something, even something simple, feel like a really hard puzzle. This idea that too much freedom can be overwhelming isn't new. For a long time, people, especially thinkers and philosophers, dreamed of a world where everyone had endless options. They believed that ultimate freedom meant having every door open, every path available. But as societies grew and things became more complex, people started to see a different side. They noticed that when there were too many paths, people sometimes just stood still, unsure of where to go. It's like standing at a crossroads with 1,000 directions, rather than just two. Which way do you pick when every way looks possible, and you worry about picking the wrong one? Think about trying to pick out a new t-shirt. You walk into a store, and there are rows and rows of shirts. Different colors, different patterns, different materials, different necklines. Maybe there are 20 shades of blue alone. Your brain starts to work really hard. It tries to compare every single option. Is this blue better than that blue? Is this cotton softer? Will this pattern go with my jeans? And as you compare, you start to feel tired. You worry that if you pick one, you might miss out on a better one. You might even start to feel a little bit of regret before you've even bought anything. This can lead to a feeling of being stuck. Sometimes, it's easier to just walk out of the store without buying anything at all. Even if you really needed a t-shirt, this feeling of being overwhelmed by choice is very real. It's a trick our minds play on us. When we have too many options, we often focus on the potential for regret. We don't want to make the wrong decision. And so, sometimes, the easiest way to avoid making the wrong decision is to make no decision at all. Even when it comes to money and what we choose to buy, this plays a big part. Companies know this. Sometimes, they offer fewer options on purpose. because they know it can make it easier for people to decide and buy. So, here's what it comes down to. True freedom isn't always about having endless choices. Maybe it's about having just enough choices to feel powerful, but not so many that we feel paralyzed. It's about finding that sweet spot where we can make a thoughtful decision, rather than being stuck in a sea of options. Perhaps the real skill isn't in seeing every path, but in knowing which path truly matters to us, and then confidently stepping onto it. Have you ever noticed how two people can look at the exact same thing but see it totally differently? Or how once you have an idea in your head, suddenly you start seeing proof for it everywhere? This happens a lot with money, and it's a powerful trick our minds play. Here's the thing. Our brains are incredibly good at finding patterns. Once we form a belief about something, especially about money, our mind starts looking for information that confirms what we already think. It's like your brain has a special filter. It lets in everything that matches your existing beliefs, and sometimes, without you even realizing it, it blocks out or downplays anything that doesn't fit. This idea that we often only see what we expect to see isn't new. People have thought about it for a very long time. Ancient philosophers, thinkers from long ago, probably noticed it too. They understood that what's inside our heads, our thoughts, our feelings, our deep-seated beliefs, shapes how we see the world outside. It's not just about what is true, but about what we believe to be true, and then how we search for proof. Think about it like this. Imagine you're a superfan of a specific sports team. You might genuinely believe your team is the best, even when they lose. When a referee makes a call against your team, you might quickly decide it was unfair. But if the referee makes a similar call in your team's favor, you'll probably think it was completely fair and deserved. Your strong belief in your team colors how you see every single play. You're looking for things that prove your team is great, and overlooking things that suggest otherwise. The same thing happens with money. Let's say someone grew up hearing that money is the root of all evil, or that rich people are greedy. Every time they see a wealthy person, they might only notice stories about people who got rich unfairly, or focus on headlines about scandals involving money. They might completely miss the stories about people who used their money to help others, or who worked incredibly hard, and honestly, their belief acts like that filter, showing them only what supports their existing idea. Or imagine someone who deeply believes that making money is incredibly difficult, that you have to struggle your whole life. Every small financial setback they face might feel like huge proof that their belief is true. Every time they hear about someone else's struggles, it just confirms their idea. They might not even notice all the opportunities around them, or the small wins they have, because their mind is focused on proving the money is hard belief. So, what does this mean for us? It means we need to be a little bit curious about our own minds. It's not about being wrong, or needing to change every single belief you have. The real trick is simply to know this process is happening. To sometimes pause and ask yourself, am I only seeing what I already expect to see here? Is there another way to look at this? Because when we do that, when we open our minds just a crack, we might start to notice other possibilities. We might see new paths, new ways of thinking about money, and new truths that were hiding in plain sight all along. It's about becoming a little more reflective about our own thoughts, and a little less certain about everything we think we already know. It can help us grow, not just with money, but in understanding the world and ourselves. Have you ever tried to save up for something really cool? Or maybe stop spending money on things you don't truly need, only to find it incredibly difficult? It's like your brain has its own plan, and it's not always the one you want. You set a goal, you try your best, but then suddenly you're back to old ways. Why is that? Why is it so hard to change how we deal with money, even when we know it's good for us? Here's the thing. Our brains are designed to create habits. Think of habits as super efficient shortcuts. When you do something over and over, like tying your shoes or brushing your teeth, your brain builds a special pathway for it. It makes the action almost automatic, so you don't have to think hard about it anymore. This is really useful for simple daily tasks, but it also happens with how we think and act around money. If you've always spent money as soon as you get it, or if you grab a snack from the store every day after school, your brain has built a strong, well-worn path for that behavior. Think of it like walking across a grassy field. If you walk the same way every day, soon there's a clear path, a groove in the ground. It's easy to follow that path, almost impossible to avoid it. Even if you wanted to take a different route, your brain is a bit like that field. The more you repeat a money behavior, good or bad, the deeper that path gets. Ancient thinkers, like the Greek philosopher Aristotle, knew a lot about habits, even if they didn't have brain scans. He talked about how character is formed by what we repeatedly do. He believed that virtues, like being wise with money, weren't just things you knew, but things you practiced, until they became a part of you. It's not just a new idea. Humans have always understood that repeating actions shapes who we are. Our actions carve grooves in our minds. Just like water carves a riverbed, over time, that river flows in one direction, and changing its course takes a lot of effort. So, when you try to change a money habit, say, instead of buying that soda every day, you want to put that money into savings. You're not just trying to make a new choice. You're trying to stop walking on that deep, familiar path and start forging a brand new one through untouched grass. It feels awkward. It takes more energy. Your brain, which loves being efficient, will try to pull you back to the old, easy path. That's why it often feels like a struggle, like you're fighting against yourself. It's not a lack of willpower, not entirely. It's your brain doing what it's designed to do. Follow the established patterns. Understanding this can actually make it easier. It means you're not broken or lazy. You're just human, dealing with how your brain naturally works. It means that changing a money habit isn't about one big, impossible leap. It's about taking tiny, consistent steps, day after day, to slowly wear down the old path and create a new, stronger one. It's about patience with yourself and knowing that every small choice you make to walk a new way truly matters. The new path will eventually become the easy path, but it takes time. Just like a river needs time to change its flow, drop by drop. Have you ever found yourself wanting something, not because you truly needed it, but because everyone else seemed to have it? Maybe it was a certain brand of sneakers, a new video game, or even a specific way of decorating your room. It's a powerful pull, this feeling of needing to keep up, to be part of the group. And it's a feeling that deeply shapes how we think about money. Here's the thing, this isn't a new idea. It's called social proof, or herding behavior. It's basically our tendency to follow what others are doing, especially when we're unsure or when a lot of people seem to agree. For thousands of years, humans have relied on each other. If everyone in your ancient village suddenly started moving to higher ground, you probably would too, even if you hadn't seen the floodwaters yet. It was about safety, about survival. That old instinct, to look to the group for clues, is still inside us today. We are wired to connect, to belong. This natural wiring affects our choices about money in big ways. Think about a new phone model. When it first comes out, some people buy it. Then, you start seeing it everywhere. Your friends have it, influencers show it off, and suddenly, it feels like everyone is upgrading. Even if your current phone works perfectly fine, even if the new one costs a lot, a quiet voice in your head might start whispering, maybe I need that too. It's not just about the phone itself. It's about the feeling of being in step with everyone else. It's about not being left behind. This isn't about judging anyone. It's simply how our minds work. We trust the wisdom of the crowd, especially when we're feeling uncertain. We see popularity as a sign of value. If so many people are buying it, it must be good, right? And if we don't have it, we might feel like we're missing out, or that we're somehow not as good as the others who do. This feeling is powerful, strong enough to make us open our wallets for things we might not even truly want, deep down. So, what does this mean for you and your money? It means understanding that many of your desires might not come from within you, but from the quiet hum of the crowd around you. It means pausing when you feel that pull to buy something because everyone else has it. It means asking yourself, am I spending this money because it truly adds value to my life? Because it serves my own needs and happiness? Or am I just trying to fit in, trying to follow the path others are walking. It's about finding your own direction, your own quiet sense of what matters. It's about making choices that truly belong to you, not just to the crowd. And that, in the long run, is a much richer way to live. Have you ever tried to sell something you owned, like an old video game or a bike you've had for years? And maybe someone offered you a price, and you thought, no way, it's worth way more than that. But then, if you saw that exact same game or bike in a store, you might think, that's too expensive for what it is. It's kind of strange, right? Here's the thing. Once something becomes yours, even for a little while, it changes how you see its value. It's not just about the money anymore. It's about a feeling. This idea has a name, but you can think of it as, my stuff is special. We tend to value things we own more highly than similar things we don't own. This happens because our minds attach a piece of us to the item. It holds our memories, our effort, our time. Think about it this way. For thousands of years, humans have been collecting things. From early tools to precious stones, people have always formed a connection with what they possessed. Philosophers, even way back in ancient Greece, would talk about how our possessions become part of our identity. It's not just about having a useful object. It's about what that object means to you, or how it connects to your life story. It's a very old human trait, this idea that what is mine is somehow more significant. So, let's say you spent hours building an amazing Lego set. You carefully put each piece in place. You played with it, displayed it. Now, imagine a friend wants to buy it from you. Even if it's an old set and maybe it's a little dusty, you'd probably ask for more money than your friend would expect to pay. Why? Because you put your time into it. You remember the fun you had building it. You remember the effort. That Lego set isn't just plastic bricks to you. It's a creation. It holds a piece of your focus, your imagination, your personal history. But to your friend, it's just a used toy. This makes it hard to agree on a price because you're not valuing the same thing. You're valuing the memories and the connection, while they're just valuing the object itself. This deep feeling is actually a part of how our minds work. It's not a flaw, it's just human nature. It reminds us that things aren't always just numbers on a tag. They often carry invisible weight, a story, or a memory that belongs only to us. And that's why, sometimes, a simple, worn-out object can feel like a priceless treasure, even if no one else sees its worth. It teaches us that true value isn't always about money. It's about what something means to the heart that holds it. Have you ever really wanted something right now? Like you saw a new video game or a cool pair of shoes, and the idea of waiting for it felt impossible? That feeling is super common. It's part of how our brains work, and it's one of the biggest challenges when we think about money. Here's the thing. Our minds often battle between wanting things instantly and understanding the benefits of waiting for something bigger or better in the future. We call this a choice between instant gratification, getting something good right away, and delayed gratification, waiting for a greater reward later. Think about it like this. For thousands of years, humans lived day to day, finding food, staying safe. If you found berries, you ate them. If you found wood, you burned it for warmth. Planning too far ahead wasn't always an option. So our brains got pretty good at rewarding us for dealing with the now. That ancient part of our brain still whispers, get it, enjoy it, be safe today. But then, as societies grew, people started planting crops, building homes, and saving things. They learned that waiting, planning, and working hard now could mean a much better life later. This idea of discipline, of holding back for a greater good, has been talked about by thinkers for a very long time. Philosophers in ancient Greece, for example, often wrote about the power of self-control. They believed that truly wise people could resist immediate pleasures for a more meaningful, lasting happiness. It's about knowing your future self will thank you. A famous experiment that really shows this is called the marshmallow test. Years ago, scientists gave young kids a marshmallow. They told them they could eat one marshmallow now, but if they waited just a little bit, without eating it, they would get 2 marshmallows. Some kids ate the marshmallow right away. Others struggled, but managed to wait, and they got the second one. What's interesting is that The kids who waited often did better later in life, in school, in their careers, and even in their health. It wasn't about the marshmallow itself, but what the choice represented, the ability to pause, to think about the future, and to control an impulse. When it comes to money, this same challenge pops up every single day. Do you spend your money on that cool new thing right away? Or do you save it up little by little so you can buy something truly amazing later? Or even better, invest it so it can grow and help you with big life goals like college or starting your own business? It's not easy. That urge to spend, to have, to experience now is powerful. But here's what thinking deeply about this can teach us. Every time you choose to save, every time you choose to wait, you're not just putting money aside. You're building a stronger future for yourself. You're showing your own mind that you are in control. You are choosing to trust your future self, and you are building a life where your long-term dreams can actually become real. It's a quiet strength, this choice to wait, and it truly can change everything. Have you ever looked at a price tag and felt like it was playing a trick on you? Maybe it seemed too good to be true, or maybe it just felt right. It's like our eyes are drawn to certain numbers, and our brains start to work in ways we don't even notice. We think we're making a smart choice, but sometimes the numbers themselves are designed to guide us. Here's the thing. How a price is shown can change how we feel about it. Our minds are tricky. We often think in quick ways, taking shortcuts. So, if a shirt costs $19.99, it feels a lot cheaper than $20, even though it's only 1 cent less. That small difference, just seeing the 19 instead of 20, makes our brains think it's in a lower price range. It's like a little whisper telling us, this is a good deal. This idea isn't new. For a long time, people have known that the way you present something affects how others see its value. Even in ancient markets, sellers would try to make their goods seem more appealing through how they showed them, not just what they cost. It's about the feeling you get, not just the math. And that's why stores often use this strategy. Think about going into a video game store or looking at a new phone online. You might see a really expensive top-of-the-line console for, say, $500. Then, right next to it, there's a slightly older model for $350. And then, maybe a very basic version for $250. Our minds often anchor onto the first high number we see. The $500 console sets a high standard. So the $350 one suddenly seems like a much better deal, even if it's still quite a bit of money. It's not just about what something costs on its own, but how it looks when compared to other choices. This is called anchoring. Your brain latches onto that first big number and uses it as a kind of mental measuring stick. So, the $350 console appears like a bargain because it's so much less than the $500 one. It might still be more than you need, but your mind has already been nudged. It's a quiet influence, like a gentle current pulling a boat. Knowing this doesn't mean you'll never be influenced again. It just means you can pause. You can look at the numbers and then look beyond them, asking yourself, what is this item truly worth to me? What do I really need? It's about understanding that our minds are incredibly powerful, but also sometimes easily led. And that's okay. The real wisdom comes from learning how these influences work, so you can make choices that truly align with your own thoughts and not just the numbers playing tricks on your eyes. It's about becoming a bit more aware, a bit more thoughtful, about the hidden currents in the world around us. Have you ever stopped to wonder why waiting feels so incredibly hard, especially when money is involved? It's like there's a little voice inside us, urging us to grab what we can, right now. Why does that happen? Why is patience such a struggle when there's a reward waiting? Here's the thing. Our brains are built to like immediate rewards. Think about it. If someone offered you $5 right now, or $10 next week, which would you pick? A lot of us would lean towards the $5 now. That feeling of getting something immediately is a powerful pull. This isn't a flaw in us. It's a very old, very basic part of how humans are wired. It's called instant gratification. Our minds just really enjoy getting good things right away. To understand why this is so strong, imagine humans from a very long time ago. Back then, life was very different. If you saw a berry bush, you ate the berries. If you found a warm cave, you slept in it. Waiting was often dangerous. A berry bush might be gone tomorrow, or another animal might take the cave. So, our ancestors who took what was available right away were often the ones who survived and passed on their genes. This means our brains learned that getting things now was a smart move for survival. While our world has changed, that old brain wiring is still there, whispering, "Get it now." It's like a famous experiment you might have heard about, called the marshmallow test. Years ago, scientists gave young kids a marshmallow. They told the kids they could eat it right away, or if they waited a few minutes without eating it, they would get a second marshmallow. What happened was really interesting. Some kids ate the marshmallow right away, but other kids, even though it was hard, waited. They fidgeted, they looked away, but they waited. Later on, the scientists found that the kids who could wait for the second marshmallow often did better in school and in life generally. They had learned to delay what they wanted for a bigger, better reward later. This isn't just about marshmallows or money, though. It's about understanding ourselves. When we feel that strong urge to spend money right away, or to get something instantly, it's often that ancient part of our brain kicking in. It's a very natural impulse, but knowing this gives us a kind of quiet power. It means we can pause. We can recognize that urge and choose a different path. We can think about the bigger picture, the future reward that might be much more valuable than what's right in front of us. It's a way of saying to ourselves, I understand why I want this now, but I also know something better is possible if I wait. And that understanding can slowly, gently, change how we see the world and our choices in it. Have you ever walked into a store and seen a price tag that just stuck with you? Maybe it was for a really expensive jacket or a new video game console. You saw that first number and maybe thought, wow, that's a lot. But here's the thing. That very first price you notice, the one that makes you pause, often becomes like a silent guide for your mind, even when you don't realize it. This is a deep idea about how our brains work. It's called anchoring. Imagine a ship dropping an anchor. That anchor sets a fixed point in the ocean. In the same way, the first piece of information, like a price, drops an anchor in our minds. Every other price we see after that, every other choice we make, gets pulled towards that first number. It acts like a reference point, even if it's a bit random. So, if the first price for something is super high, then any slightly lower price starts to look like a good deal, even if it's still expensive. But if the first price you saw was low, then even a slightly higher price might seem like too much. For centuries, people have thought about what makes something valuable. Is it the effort to make it? Is it how much someone needs it? Or is it simply what someone is willing to pay? Philosophers, people who think deeply about life, have puzzled over this. They've often wondered if our judgments are truly based on logic, or if our feelings and the things we see first play a bigger role. And it turns out, our minds are pretty easily influenced. It's not a new trick of the mind. People have probably been using this idea, maybe without even knowing it. In markets for thousands of years, think about a street market in an ancient city. The first merchant to shout a price for their wares might have set the tone for all the bargaining that day. Here's a way to think about it for yourself. Imagine you want a new pair of headphones. You walk into an electronics store, and right away, you see a super fancy pair of headphones on display. The price tag says $300. You think, whoa, that's a lot of money for headphones. You keep looking around. A few minutes later, you find another pair. These ones look pretty good too. Their price is $150. Now, if you hadn't seen the $300 headphones first, $150 might still seem like a lot. But because that $300 price anchored your brain, the $150 pair suddenly feels like a much better deal. It seems like half the price of the really expensive ones, even though $150 is still a significant amount for headphones. The $300 created a high bar, making the $150 feel more reasonable by comparison. This isn't about being tricked, not really. It's just how our minds naturally process information. We don't always judge things in a vacuum. Our judgments are often shaped by the first piece of information we encounter, and that's why it matters. Understanding this quiet power of the first price can help you think more clearly about money. It can make you pause before you decide if something is truly a good value, or if you're just comparing it to an anchor someone else placed. It's a gentle reminder that our initial impressions, those first few moments of seeing a number, can quietly guide our thoughts in ways we might not even notice. And knowing that can give us a little more control over our own decisions, helping us feel more certain about the choices we make. Have you ever noticed how something just feels more valuable when it looks really good? Not just useful, but beautiful, well-designed, or presented in a fancy way. It's a strange thing, but our eyes have a secret power over our minds, and especially over how we think about money. Our brain often connects what looks pleasant or pretty with what is good, what is true, and what is valuable. And this connection quietly shapes how we feel about the money we have and the money we spend. Here's the thing. We often believe that if something is packaged nicely, if a store looks clean and modern, or if an item is shiny and new, it must be worth more. Our minds jump to that conclusion. This isn't a new trick. Think about people long ago. They didn't just build plain, boring structures. They spent countless hours crafting grand temples and stunning palaces. Why? Because beauty wasn't just nice to look at. It showed power, importance, and value. When something was made with great care, when it looked perfect, it signaled that it was special, that it was strong, that it would last. This deep link between careful craftsmanship and value has been around for thousands of years. From ancient pottery shaped with graceful lines to powerful leaders wearing elaborate clothes, looks have always told a story about worth. This idea still works on us today. It's like when you see a picture of a super juicy burger on a fast food menu. It looks perfect. The cheese melted just right, the lettuce crisp, the bun golden. You start to think, wow, that burger is going to be amazing. Then you get the actual burger, and maybe it's a little squished, not quite as picture perfect. But that first image, the beautiful one, made the burger seem more desirable. It made you willing to spend your money. In psychology, there's a concept called the halo effect. It's when one positive quality, like beauty, makes us assume other good qualities, like high value or reliability. So, if a new gadget looks sleek and shiny, we might automatically believe it's also high quality, even if we haven't tested it yet. This makes us more willing to pay more for it. The pretty packaging tells our brain the product inside is worth the higher price. So, here's what this means for you and your money. Our vision has a powerful, quiet influence. It's not always about what something truly is, or what it can actually do. Sometimes, our feelings about its value, and the money we use to get it, are shaped by how pretty or appealing it looks. When you understand this, you can pause for a moment. You can notice how your eyes are working on your mind. It lets you see things a little more clearly, beyond just the surface shine. It helps you realize that true value isn't always wrapped in the fanciest paper, and that's why it matters. Knowing this can help you make choices that are about what truly benefits you, not just what looks good in the moment. Have you ever noticed how we sometimes just assume something expensive must be better? Like, if a pair of sneakers costs hundreds of dollars, they just have to be more comfortable or make you run faster than a cheaper pair, right? This idea that a higher price tag automatically means higher quality is a powerful trick our minds play on us. It's a mental shortcut. Here's the thing. Our brains are always looking for ways to save effort. When we see something costly, it's easier to just think, oh, it's expensive, so it must be good, instead of really digging in to compare its true value or quality. For a long time in history, this made sense. If something was harder to get or took more skill to make, it was rare, and rare things often cost more. So, our ancestors learned that high cost could mean high quality. But today, the world is different. We have mass production, clever marketing, and a lot of ways to make things seem valuable without actually being all that different. This isn't just about what we buy. It can affect how we feel about things too. Think about something called the price placebo effect. Imagine you have a headache, and someone gives you a painkiller. If you're told it's a new, super expensive pill, you might feel better faster than if you think it's a cheap, generic one. even if both pills are exactly the same thing. Your belief that the expensive pill is more powerful actually makes your body respond as if it is. The idea of something being better because of its price can change your experience of it. Here's a simple example from the real world. Let's say you're trying two different brands of bottled water. One costs $1 and the other costs $5, but they're from the same source, just packaged differently. If you don't know the price, you might not notice a difference. But if you know one is 5 times more expensive, your brain might tell you it tastes crisper, colder, or somehow purer. You might even genuinely believe it, because your mind is telling you it should be better. This happens all the time with everyday products, from simple foods to clothing. So, what does this tell us? It reminds us to be a little bit curious, a little bit questioning about our own assumptions. True value isn't always found on a price tag. Sometimes the real quality, the real usefulness, or the real joy something brings has nothing to do with how much money changed hands. It's a quiet thought to consider. What truly makes something valuable to you? Is it the story the price tells? Or is it what the item truly is and what it truly does? Have you ever thought about what your life will be like when you're older? Maybe you picture yourself with a cool job, living in a nice place, not having to worry about money. Most of us do. It's a good dream, right? A hopeful picture of what's to come. Here's the thing. While we often imagine this wealthy future, our actions today don't always match up. We might spend our allowance as soon as we get it, or buy things we don't really need, even though we know saving could help us later. It's a common pattern. Why is there this gap? Why do we believe we'll be rich, but not act like it right now? It comes down to how our brains work. We're wired to be hopeful, to imagine a better future. This is called optimism bias. It means we tend to believe good things are more likely to happen to us than to others. We think we'll be the lucky ones, the ones who make it big, even if we don't have a solid plan. And that's okay. Hope is a powerful thing that helps us dream and move forward. But here's the problem. There's another part of our brain at play, one that wants instant rewards. This is sometimes called present bias. Our minds often value what we can have right now more than what we can have later. A small treat today feels more real, more exciting than a big reward far off in the future. It's like our brain says, why wait for later when I can feel good now? Think about people long ago, even in ancient times. Humans always looked to the future. They planted seeds, hoping for a harvest months away. They built structures that would last for generations. This shows a deep human desire to plan and build for what's to come. But they also had to deal with immediate needs, like finding food for that very day. This push and pull between the now and the later isn't new. Wise thinkers for centuries have talked about this challenge, delaying what you want right away for something better that comes much, much later. It's about our future self versus our present self. Our future self seems like a different person, someone who's super responsible and has everything figured out. Our present self, well, it's just trying to get through the day and maybe have a little fun. It feels like these two versions of you are sometimes in a quiet battle. Imagine you have a big test coming up next month. You know, studying a little bit each day will make a huge difference. Your future self, who wants an A+, is cheering you on, picturing success. But your present self sees your video game console right there, or your friends texting to hang out. It feels so much better to play now, to relax now. You tell yourself, I'll study super hard tomorrow or next week. But tomorrow often turns into never, and then the test is here, and you haven't studied much at all. It's the same with money. You know, saving a little bit from your birthday money, or putting away some of your allowance, could add up to something big for a new bike, or maybe even for college tuition someday. But then you see that cool new shirt, or that snack you really want, and the feeling of having it now wins out. You tell yourself, I'll start saving next week, or I'll save when I get my next allowance. But those small daily choices, whether you make them or not, truly add up over time. Understanding this isn't about judging ourselves or feeling bad. It's about seeing clearly how our minds work. It's about realizing that the dreams we have for our future are powerful, but they need to be connected to the small, steady actions we take today. The person you will become, the person who might indeed be financially secure, is being built right now, in this very moment, by the choices you make with your time and your money. It's about learning to be a little kinder, a little more patient with your future self, by helping them out today. By understanding why we sometimes act against our own best interests, we can start to build bridges between the hopeful dreams of tomorrow and the reality of our choices today. And that bridge, built bit by bit, is where real change and real growth truly happens. It's where your future begins to take shape. Have you ever clicked a Buy It Now button online and felt a strange rush? That little click can feel powerful, almost like a command. But why does that simple phrase have such a strong hold on us? What makes us feel like we need to act right away? Here's the thing. Buy it now isn't just about buying something. It's about urgency. It taps into a deep part of our minds that hates to miss out. Think about it. The words suggest an instant action, a chance that might disappear if you wait even a moment. This makes us feel a little bit of pressure. We might not even need the item, but the idea of losing the chance to get it can make us want it more. It's like a quick path to getting what you want, right this second. And that's why it matters. This feeling of needing something right away isn't new. For a long, long time, humans have been driven by immediate needs. If a hunter found food, they ate it, because who knew when the next meal would come? In ancient markets, if a rare spice or fabric appeared, you bought it then, because it might be gone tomorrow. There were no online carts to save things for later. People had to act fast when something good showed up. So, this buy it now feeling connects to a very old part of our brains. It plays on our primal fear of scarcity, the idea that there isn't enough, or that something good will run out. It's not just a modern trick. It's a very old human response. Think about your favorite video game. Imagine a special, limited-time skin or item pops up. It says, available for 24 hours only. Buy it now. Even if you weren't planning to spend money, that ticking clock, that now feeling, can make your heart beat a little faster. You picture yourself playing with that cool new item. You imagine other players having it and you not. That's your brain getting a jolt of FOMO, fear of missing out. It releases a chemical called dopamine, which is the feel-good chemical, making you want to get that reward immediately. It's like your brain is saying, quick, don't miss this. So, the next time you see those words, buy it now, just take a moment, pause, feel that little pull, but don't just react to it. Ask yourself, is this really something I need? Or am I just afraid of losing a chance? Understanding this ancient part of your brain gives you power. It helps you make a choice, not just an impulse. You get to decide if that instant click is truly what you want, or if waiting, thinking, and being patient might actually give you a deeper, calmer feeling of control. It's about being thoughtful with your desires, not just following every rush. Have you ever tried to play a game, a complicated one, without really understanding the rules? Maybe you tried to build something from a kit, but you skipped the instructions about how the small parts fit together. That feeling of confusion, of things not quite making sense, is a bit like what happens when you don't get money math. It's not just about adding and subtracting, though those are important. It's about understanding the basic ideas, the hidden forces that make money grow or shrink. Here's the thing. Money isn't just paper or numbers on a screen. It has its own kind of language, its own rhythm. If you don't understand that rhythm, you can feel lost, almost like you're walking in a dark room. You bump into things. You trip. You might even fall. This isn't a new problem. For thousands of years, people have traded things, bought and sold. They've always had to figure out what something was worth and what it cost them. Ancient thinkers, long before calculators, knew that understanding resources was key to a calm life. They knew that if a community didn't balance what it had with what it used, there would be trouble. That same simple truth still matters today, just on a bigger scale. Think about it like this. Imagine a tiny snowball at the top of a long, gentle hill. If you give that snowball a little push, it starts to roll. As it rolls, it picks up more snow. The longer it rolls, the bigger it gets, right? That's kind of like money when it comes to interest. If you save money and it earns interest, even a little bit, that interest then starts to earn interest too. It's like the snowball getting bigger and bigger. This is a good thing. But what if that snowball is debt? What if you owe money and that debt starts to grow with interest? A small debt can quickly become a giant problem, just like that snowball, rolling downhill, getting heavier and heavier, much faster than you'd think. It can feel like it's chasing you. When you don't understand these simple forces, these rules of money, it can make life feel harder. You might not realize how small choices today can create big impacts later. It can lead to feeling worried about the future, or feeling trapped by things you wish you hadn't done. But here's what else I found. Learning these simple truths, even a little bit, can bring a quiet sense of control. It's like someone turned on a soft light in that dark room. You start to see the path. You stop bumping into things. It's not about being rich. It's about being free to make your own choices, to feel a little more peaceful about where you stand, and to walk forward with a clearer idea of where you're going. Have you ever wondered why some ideas just seem to stick in your mind, especially when they're about something as big and often confusing as money? Think about it. We're often told simple rules: save every penny, or money doesn't grow on trees. These aren't long, complicated explanations. They're short, easy to remember, and they feel right. But why are they so powerful? Here's the thing. Our brains really like simplicity. The world around us is messy and full of complicated stuff. Our brains, smart as they are also a little bit lazy. They prefer shortcuts. When something feels simple, it feels safe and easy to understand. We don't have to work hard to figure it out, and that gives us a sense of control. This has been true for humans for a very long time. For thousands of years, people have tried to make sense of life's big questions by creating simple sayings or proverbs. These little nuggets of wisdom were easy to pass down and helped guide people through their day. Money, with all its worries and hopes, has always been one of those big questions. It's kind of like a catchy song on the radio, a complicated classical piece with 100 different instruments, and a long, winding melody might be beautiful, but it's hard to remember every note. But a pop song with a simple beat, easy words, and a repeating chorus? You hear it once, and it's stuck in your head all day. You don't need to be a music expert to get it. Your brain just grabs onto it, and you can hum it without even thinking. Simple money ideas work the same way. They give your brain a quick, easy tune to hum about a really complicated subject. They promise a clear path, or a quick fix, or a straightforward answer in a world that often feels anything but clear. If someone tells you, just follow this one rule, and you'll be good with money, that sounds so much better than, well, it depends on a lot of things, and it's quite complex. Our brains choose the easy, catchy tune every time. But here's the problem. While simple ideas are comforting and easy to remember, the real world, especially the world of money, is often much more complex. A catchy song might be fun, but it doesn't have all the deep layers and feelings of a long, thoughtful piece of music. And that's why it matters. Simple money ideas can be a good start, like a first step on a long journey. They can point us in a general direction. But to truly understand, to truly grow wise, we need to be curious enough to look past the easy tune. We need to be brave enough to explore the hidden layers, the quiet parts, and the surprising twists. The real wisdom often lives in the messy details, where things aren't quite so simple, and that's okay. In fact, that's where the most interesting discoveries often are. Have you ever noticed how the word free seems to shimmer, to glow brighter than almost any other word you see? It could be a free sample, a buy one, get one free deal, or a free app download. Whatever it is, that single word often stops us in our tracks. Why does free hold such a strange, powerful magic over our minds, especially when it comes to money? Here's the thing. Free isn't just about saving cash. It's about something deeper, something ancient in our brains. When something is offered for free, it takes away the feeling of risk. It removes the little bit of pain we usually feel when we have to part with our hard-earned money. There's no downside, right? No chance to lose. And that feeling, that complete lack of risk, is incredibly appealing. Think about it like this. For a very long time, Back when people traded goods instead of using money, everything had a clear value. If you wanted a basket of apples, you might offer a chicken in return. There was always a direct exchange. A true free item was rare. It was a gift, perhaps, or a favor given, without expecting anything back right away. But even then, those gifts often built a kind of unspoken debt, a feeling you owed someone something later. It was like the universe itself seemed to whisper, "There's no such thing as a free lunch. Everything had a cost, seen or unseen." This idea that nothing comes from nothing has been around forever. But when we see free today, our modern minds often forget those old whispers. We focus only on the gain, not on any possible hidden costs. Imagine you're at a festival. Someone offers you a free sample of a new energy drink. You try it. It tastes good. No money changed hands. But then, you feel a little pressure to buy a whole can. Or maybe you just naturally start thinking, "This is good. I should get more." The free sample got you to try it, to get a taste of something new. It opened the door for you to spend money later, without you even realizing it was the first step in a sales plan. That's how it works. The goal isn't just for you to have a free taste. It's to get you to want more, to feel good about the product, and eventually to pay for it. So, while free might feel like a gift, a moment of pure gain, it's often a clever nudge. It's a trick that changes how we think about the value of things. It makes us more open, less critical, and sometimes a little more willing to spend money on something related later on. It's not about being suspicious of every free offer. It's about understanding the subtle psychology behind it. When we grasp that free often opens a door, rather than closing one, we can make smarter choices. We can appreciate a true gift, but also spot when free is just the start of a longer path to our wallet. Knowing this helps us navigate the world with a bit more wisdom, seeing clearly what truly costs us something and what really doesn't. Have you ever felt a strange urge after doing something really kind or generous? Maybe you gave a friend a thoughtful gift or spent hours helping your family, and then a little voice whispers, "You deserve a treat." Or, "It's okay to buy that thing you want now." It's almost like the act of giving makes you feel like you need to spend money on yourself. This isn't just you. It's a quiet trick our minds sometimes play. Here's the thing. Our brains like balance. We feel good when we give. It brings a sense of warmth, a connection with others. But after a big act of generosity, especially if it cost us time, effort, or even money, our minds often look for a way to even things out. It's not about being selfish. It's a very old, deeply wired way our brains try to keep things fair, even with ourselves. It's like a silent accounting system, trying to balance the scales of generosity and self-care. Think about how humans have always thought about things. In many old stories and ways of thinking, there's this idea of things needing to be in balance, light and dark, giving and receiving. If you put a lot of energy into one side, the other side seems to pull back. It's not a rule of the universe, but more like a quiet hum inside us. We give out, and then our inner world feels like it's time for something to come back in. This isn't about getting a reward from someone else. It's about a feeling of internal fairness that our own minds create. Let's imagine this. You've spent your entire Saturday helping clean up a local park. You picked up trash, pulled weeds, and really worked hard. You feel great about helping your community. But later that evening, as you're relaxing, you scroll through your phone. You see an advertisement for a new video game or some cool sneakers. Suddenly, that quiet voice kicks in. You earned this. After all that hard work, you deserve to get something for yourself. You might not even need the game or the shoes, but the feeling of having given so much makes the idea of spending on yourself feel justified, even necessary. It's a subtle shift. The energy you put out through giving makes you feel like you have a right to bring something in for yourself. It's important to understand this feeling. It doesn't mean you're a bad person for wanting something after being generous. It just means you're human. Our minds are always working to make sense of our actions and feelings. This little psychological trick is one way they try to create a sense of comfort and balance for us. The next time you notice this urge to spend after giving, just pause, notice it, don't judge it. Just understand that your mind is trying to balance its inner ledger. And that understanding can help you decide if you truly need to spend, or if your mind is just trying to square things away in its own quiet way. It's simply a part of how we think, a gentle reminder that our inner worlds are always working, always looking for a kind of peace. Have you ever said you'd do something, promised yourself or someone else, and then later, things changed? Maybe you wished you hadn't made that promise. Or maybe you felt stuck, because breaking your word felt wrong. It's a deep feeling, isn't it? This idea that being true to your word is always the best path, and mostly, it is. We learn from a young age that trust is built on promises kept. Our friends, our families, even whole societies work because we generally try to follow through on what we say we'll do. But here's the thing. Sometimes being too loyal to a past decision, to an old promise, can actually hurt you. It can cost you money, time, or even opportunities. It's like our brains want to be super consistent. Once we've chosen a path, we really want to stick to it. We don't want to admit we might have made a mistake or that circumstances have shifted. Think about it. If you spend a lot of time working on a school project you promised yourself would be perfect, and then you realize it's going in a totally wrong direction, it's hard to just scrap it and start over, right? All that effort feels wasted. We tend to push harder on the bad path rather than just stopping and changing course. For a long time across many cultures, the idea of honor was closely tied to never, ever going back on your word. Knights swore oaths. Business deals were made with a handshake. To change your mind was seen as weak or even dishonest. There's a lot of good in that. It created a world where people could rely on each other. But the world moves faster now. What made perfect sense yesterday might be a terrible idea today. And sometimes, sticking to that old, outdated commitment just because you said you would can trap you. Imagine you really wanted a specific, expensive video game. You saved your allowance for months, telling yourself, "This is the game I'll play forever. It's worth every penny." You buy it. You even tell your friends how excited you are. But then, you start playing, and it's just not that fun for you. It's kind of boring, maybe even a little frustrating. Your friends move on to other games. What do? Do you keep forcing yourself to play it, trying to convince yourself it was a good use of your money because you committed to it? You might tell yourself, "I spent so much, I have to make it count." That's the cost. You're not just losing the money you spent, you're losing your valuable free time on something you don't enjoy, and maybe missing out on playing other games that are actually fun. Your commitment is costing you joy and new experiences. So, what does this teach us? It's not about being flaky or breaking promises just for fun. It's about wisdom. It's about being brave enough to look at a situation with fresh eyes, even if it means admitting that an old decision, made with good intentions, might no longer serve you. It means understanding that growth often involves letting go. Sometimes, the truly strong thing to do is to change your mind, to adapt, and to choose a new path, even if it feels like you're letting down your past self. Because learning to be flexible, to adjust, and to pivot when needed is one of the most powerful skills you can have, both for your peace of mind and your future choices. Have you ever wondered why some people just seem to get how money works? Almost like they have a secret map. They talk about saving, investing, making smart choices, and it sounds so calm, so clear. These aren't just people who got lucky. Here's the thing. They've learned to see something many of us miss. They've paid attention to how our minds, and other people's minds, really work when it comes to money. Think about it like this. For thousands of years, people have watched the world around them. Ancient farmers watched the seasons to know when to plant. Sailors watched the stars to find their way. They weren't just guessing. They were observing patterns. They were listening to what the world was telling them, quietly, over time. They learned that if you understand how something works, you can work with it instead of against it. Money-smart people do something similar. They watch human behavior, especially when money is involved. They notice the little brain tricks, the hidden feelings that make us spend too much or miss a chance to save. They're like quiet scientists of human nature. They've seen how easy it is for our emotions to take over, especially when everyone else is doing something. And that's why it matters so much to listen to them. Imagine you're trying to learn how to play a new video game, a really complicated one. You could just jump in and try to figure it out, probably getting stuck a lot. Or you could watch someone who's already beaten the game, someone who knows all the hidden shortcuts and secret levels. They tell you, don't fall for that trap. Or, this enemy looks scary, but here's how to beat them. Listening to them doesn't mean you don't play the game yourself. It means you play it smarter, with less frustration and more success. The money-smart people are like those experienced gamers. They've seen the traps in how our brains handle money. They know, for instance, that we often think something is worth more just because it's on sale, even if we don't need it. Or that we feel a pang of worry when we see others getting rich fast, pushing us to make risky choices. They've observed these patterns in countless people, and even in themselves. They're telling you about these invisible strings that pull at our decisions. So, when you hear someone talking about the psychology of money, it's not about magic formulas. It's about understanding yourself better. It's about seeing the quiet, often hidden, forces that shape our choices. It's learning to pause, to think, and to not just react to every feeling or every advertisement. It's a journey into understanding why we do what we do, and finding a calmer, clearer path forward. This understanding, this quiet wisdom, can truly change how you see the world and your place in it. Have you ever noticed how quickly a trend can spread? One day, it's just a new song or a certain style of backpack. The next, it feels like everyone has it, and suddenly, you want it too. Why does seeing others buy something make us feel like we need it ourselves? Here's the thing about people. We are social creatures. We watch each other. It's a very old part of how our brains work. Long, long ago, when humans lived in groups, seeing what others did was important. If everyone in the group ran from a certain sound, you ran too. It was a way to stay safe. If everyone started gathering a certain type of berry, you learned quickly that those berries were probably good to eat. This ancient way of thinking still shapes us, even when we're just looking at new sneakers or video games. It's like our minds have a built-in shortcut. If a lot of people like something, our brain whispers, maybe it's good, maybe it's valuable, maybe I should have it too. This isn't always a bad thing, but it's interesting to notice how powerful that whisper can be. It's a very human experience. Even ancient thinkers hundreds of years ago talked about how much people imitate each other. They saw how we learn from those around us, not just how to build things or farm, but also what to desire. It's a quiet pull, a gentle suggestion from the crowd that we often don't even realize is happening. Think about it like this. Imagine a new type of snack food appears in the cafeteria. At first, maybe only a few kids try it, but then you see more and more people buying it, laughing and sharing it. You might not have been interested before, but now it looks pretty good. Your brain starts to think, if so many people are enjoying it, there must be something special about it. You might even feel a little left out if you don't join in. This isn't because the snack changed, but because your perception of it changed, influenced by seeing others. So, when you feel that quiet urge to get something just because others have it, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, is this something I truly want for myself? Does it fit into my own life and what I value? Or is it simply the echo of what others are doing? There's no right or wrong answer, but simply understanding this hidden pull can give you a quiet strength. It lets you choose with a little more thought, making sure your desires are truly your own, and not just reflections from the world around you. Have you ever noticed how some things just stick? Maybe it's a song you hear on the radio. At first, you don't really like it. It's just noise. But then you hear it again, and suddenly, you find yourself humming it in the shower. You even start to like it. What happened? Your brain just got used to it. It became familiar. And here's the thing. Our brains tend to like what's familiar. This idea is a powerful trick of the mind. It's called the mere exposure effect. Basically, the more we are exposed to something, a picture, a name, a product, a brand, the more we tend to feel positively about it. We don't even have to try to like it. It just happens, quietly, deep inside our minds. It's like our brain says, oh, I know this. This must be good. Think about it like this. For thousands of years, Humans have lived in tribes and communities. What was familiar was often safe. A familiar face was less likely to be a threat. A familiar path was less likely to lead to danger. Our brains became wired to find comfort in what we already knew. This ancient wiring still affects us today, even when we're looking at a new pair of sneakers or a video game ad. Ancient traders and merchants might not have had psychology degrees, but they understood this truth. They knew that if you put your goods out in the marketplace every day, people would see them. They'd become familiar with your stall, your face, your products. Over time, that familiarity would build trust and, eventually, lead to sales. They weren't just selling cloth or pottery. They were selling familiarity. Here's a simple example you might have seen. Imagine you're scrolling through social media, and you keep seeing an ad for a new type of sparkling water. The first time, you just scroll past. The second time, you notice the cool bottle. The third time, you read the words, refreshing taste. By the fifth or sixth time, even if you don't really need sparkling water, a little thought might pop into your head, maybe I should try that. You didn't actively decide you wanted it. The constant seeing of it planted the seed. This trick is why brands spend so much money on advertising. They want their logo, their product, their message to be everywhere. On television, on billboards, on your phone, in your favorite stores. They want their product to become as familiar to you as that catchy song on the radio. They want it to become part of your everyday world, so much so that it starts to feel like a natural choice, even a necessary one. The deep thought here is that our desires are not always our own. Sometimes they are quietly shaped by what surrounds us, by what we see again and again. It's a gentle, almost invisible push from the world into our minds. Knowing this can help us pause. It allows us to ask, do I truly want this, or do I just know it well? Understanding this quiet power helps us see how our world, and the things in it, try to speak to us, shaping our thoughts about what we need and what we desire. It reminds us to listen to our own deepest thoughts, rather than just the echoes of the world around us. Have you ever walked into a store or scrolled online and suddenly felt a strong urge to buy something you didn't even know you wanted? And then, after you bought it, maybe you felt a little different? What if your feelings, deep down, often play a much bigger role in what you spend your money on than you might think? It's true. Our emotions are powerful forces, whispering, guiding our hands towards our wallets in ways we might not even notice. Here's the thing. We often believe we make choices with our minds, using logic and facts. We think, I need new shoes, or this video game is on sale, so it's a good deal. But underneath all that logical thinking, there's a powerful river of feelings flowing. When you're happy, you might be more generous, or more willing to try new things. But when you're feeling down, stressed, or even just bored, your mind might look for a quick fix, something to make you feel better, even for a short time. This is why sometimes, after a tough day, that candy bar or new t-shirt just feels right, even if it wasn't on your list. People have thought about this for a very, very long time. Thousands of years ago, thinkers like the ancient Greek philosopher Plato wondered about the different parts of the human mind. He talked about how our desires and emotions were like wild horses, and our reason was like the driver trying to steer them. For centuries, many believed that true wisdom meant always letting reason be in charge, always making perfectly logical choices. But as time went on, and people studied the mind more closely, they realized emotions weren't just things to be controlled. They are a core part of being human, deeply influencing everything we do, including how we spend money. We aren't just thinking machines, we are also feeling beings. Think about it this way. Imagine you've just had a really frustrating afternoon. Maybe a test didn't go well, or you had a disagreement with a friend. You walk home, feeling a bit heavy. As you pass a small shop, something catches your eye. Perhaps a bright, colorful new sketchbook, or a cool pair of headphones. Your logical brain might say, I already have headphones, or I don't really need a new sketchbook. But your feelings? They might be saying, this could make me feel better, or this would be a fun distraction. Even, I deserve something nice after today. That deep wish for comfort or joy can easily push you to open your wallet. It's not about the item itself sometimes. It's about the feeling you hope it will bring. So, What does this mean for us? It means that our emotions aren't bad, but they are powerful, especially when it comes to money. When we understand how our feelings nudge our buying choices, we gain a quiet power. We can pause. We can take a breath and simply notice what emotion is stirring inside us. Is it boredom? Sadness? Excitement? By simply being aware, we can choose to act differently. We can decide if we're truly buying something because we need it, or because we're looking for a temporary feeling. It's about being a little more awake to our own hearts, and then deciding, with calm awareness, what truly serves us. Have you ever stopped to wonder why the idea of winning a huge amount of money, like in a lottery, feels so incredibly good? It's a powerful thought, isn't it? The dream of instant riches. Maybe a big check, delivered right to your door. Or finding a hidden treasure chest. Our minds really like the idea of getting a lot for very little effort. It's a trick our brains play on us, making us believe that big money wins are just around the corner, easy to grab. Here's the thing. Most of us are wired to hope for a sudden, huge change. We see stories of people who made it big overnight. A famous singer, a tech genius who started in a garage, or someone who won the lottery. These stories stick in our minds. They feel simple, almost like a magic trick. But what we don't always see are the years of hard work, the failures, the tiny steps, or the incredible unlikelihood that led to that overnight success. Our brains naturally prefer the easy, shiny version. For a long time, people have been drawn to the idea of quick wealth. Think about the old stories of finding gold, or the ancient Roman Empire, where emperors sometimes held lotteries for their citizens. It wasn't about building a business or saving money slowly. It was about a sudden gift from fortune, a lucky break. This deep desire for a fast track isn't new. It's part of how humans have always looked at the world, hoping for a simple path to a good life, rather than a long, winding road. This way of thinking is a bit like seeing a viral video online. Someone does something funny or amazing, and suddenly, they have millions of views. It looks easy. It looks like it happened in a snap. But for every one video that explodes, there are thousands, even millions that get almost no attention. The people who make those viral videos usually make many, many more that nobody sees. They spend hours learning how to film, how to edit, how to be interesting. The big win, you see, is just the tip of a very large iceberg of effort and trial and error. Here's an example. Imagine a video game where you can open a special box for a tiny chance to get a super rare, powerful item. Everyone wants that item. It's amazing. The game makes it look like it's just one click away. You see other players who got it, and you think, that could be me. But the game designers set the chances incredibly low. You might open 100 boxes, or 1,000, and never get it. The feeling that it's easy or just one more try away is what keeps you clicking. It's the hope of that instant big win that grabs you. So, what does this tell us? It reminds us that real value, lasting growth, and true accomplishment often come from small, steady steps, not always from a sudden explosion of luck. It's not about ignoring the possibility of good fortune, but understanding that life's most meaningful treasures, whether they are skills, relationships, or even financial security, are usually built with patience. They are earned little by little, like a tree growing strong over many seasons. And that kind of growth, that steady building, is perhaps more valuable than any instant prize. Have you ever stopped to think about how different it feels to pay for something with a plastic card compared to handing over actual cash? It's a strange thing, isn't it? When you count out crumpled bills and shiny coins, you feel the money leave your hand. It's a real physical act. But when you swipe a card or tap your phone, it's just a quick beep. There's no weight, no rustle, no visual reminder of what you're giving up. Here's the thing. Our brains are built for a world that largely doesn't exist anymore. For thousands of years, people paid for things with objects they could touch. Maybe it was a handful of grain, a piece of silver, or a stack of carefully crafted shells. The act of trade was always physical. If you wanted to buy a new tool, you literally had to hand over your chickens, or a special stone. You saw what you were losing, and that felt real. It was a clear exchange, a visible sacrifice. This feeling, this little sting we get when money leaves our possession, is what some people call the pain of paying. It's a natural human response. Our brains are wired to feel a bit of a loss when something valuable goes away, and cash, because it's so physical, makes that feeling very strong. You watch your dollars disappear, one by one. It reminds you that the money is truly gone. But then came cards. And now, digital payments. With a card, the money isn't really gone in the same way. It's just a number on a screen somewhere. You don't see it leave your hand. You don't feel the emptiness in your wallet right away. It's almost like the payment happens in another dimension. Because there's less physical interaction, our brains don't register the pain of paying as strongly. The connection between what you want and what you have to give up for it gets blurry. Think about it like this. Imagine you're playing a video game, and you have a certain number of lives. If every time you lost a life, a small, tangible object disappeared from your desk, you'd probably be much more careful. You'd see your lives literally fading away. But if your lives were just a number on the screen, and the number just changed, it wouldn't feel quite as impactful. The digital change is abstract. The physical change is concrete. That's how our brains often see cash versus cards. So, what does this mean for us? It means we need to be a little more thoughtful about how we spend. Our brains are still catching up to the modern world of money. The feeling of not losing something when we swipe a card isn't actually true. We are still losing real value. It's just that the brain doesn't feel the sting as much. Understanding this helps us become smarter about our choices. It reminds us that every tap, every swipe, still counts. It's still your hard-earned money, moving from your pocket to someone else's, even if you can't quite feel it leaving. And knowing that can make all the difference. Have you ever thought something would cost a certain amount, only to find out it ended up being more expensive than you first imagined? It's a strange feeling, isn't it? Like the world just added a few extra hidden steps you didn't see when you first looked. This happens a lot with money, and it's not just a mistake you made. There are deeper reasons, ways our minds work, that cause us to miss those extra costs. Here's the thing. When we first plan for something, our brains often focus on the main part. We see the big picture, the exciting goal. We want the new bike, the cool video game, or to finally build that perfect treehouse in the backyard. And we quickly figure out the price of the bike itself, or the game console. But our minds, in their eagerness, sometimes skip over all the little things that come with that main thing. They don't always fully imagine the journey, only the destination. This isn't a new problem. Humans have been dealing with this kind of surprise for thousands of years. Think about it. Someone way back in time might have planned to build a simple hut, gathering some wood and leaves. They thought, okay, this much wood should do it. But then, as they started building, they realized they needed specific types of rope they didn't have, or stronger poles for the roof, or more mud to seal the walls. The initial plan, simple and hopeful, didn't quite match the messy, detailed reality of making something real. It's a common human trait. We tend to be a bit too hopeful, a little too quick to assume things will go smoothly and cheaply. We often underestimate how complex things truly are. Imagine you decide to build a model rocket for a science fair. You buy the rocket kit itself. That's the main cost, right? But then, as you start, you realize you need special glue the kit didn't include, and batteries for the launcher, and maybe a specific type of paint to make it look cool. Oh, and you need an engine, which is sold separately. Then, you need a safe place to launch it, which might be far away, so there's gas money. Suddenly, that simple rocket kit cost isn't so simple anymore. Each little extra item, each unexpected need, adds tiny bits to the total until it's much more than your first guess. It's like a chain reaction, where one thing leads to another, and the costs quietly pile up. So, what does this tell us about ourselves and the world? It means that thinking deeply about money isn't just about counting dollars. It's about understanding how our own minds work, how we see the future, and how easily we can miss the small, quiet details hidden in plain sight. It's a gentle reminder that life is full of little parts, not just big ones. And sometimes, the most important lessons are learned when we find ourselves paying for something we didn't expect to. It's not a failing, but a chance to become more observant, more patient, and wiser about the true cost of things. It teaches us to look a little deeper, beyond the first glance, and to understand that the journey often has more turns than we first see. Have you ever wondered why some things seem like a good deal, even if they're still pretty expensive? It's like our brains play a trick on us. We don't often judge the true value of something all by itself. Instead, we judge it by comparing it to something else. This is how stores, and even other people, can make something look really cheap just by placing it next to something much, much more costly. Here's the thing. Our minds love comparisons. It's an old habit. Imagine a time long ago, before price tags and fancy stores. If you were trading furs for food, you wouldn't just think about how much fur you had. You'd think about how much food your neighbor got for their furs, or how much food you got last week for the same amount. Our understanding of enough or fair or cheap always comes from what's around us, what we already know. It's not just about money. It's how we understand the world. We see a tall building and think it's tall because we compare it to shorter ones. We feel cold because we compare the air to our warmer bodies. So, when it comes to buying things, this natural way of thinking can be used. Imagine you walk into a store looking for a new pair of headphones. You see a really fancy pair for $500. Wow, that's a lot, right? You probably wouldn't even think about buying them. But then, right next to them, you see another pair. These are $150. Suddenly, those $150 headphones don't seem so expensive anymore. Compared to the $500 pair, they look like a steal. They look like the cheap option. But if those $500 headphones weren't there, maybe you'd think $150 was still a lot of money for headphones. The expensive item acts like an anchor. It sets a high point in your mind. Everything else around it then seems lower by comparison. It makes the mid-priced item look like the best choice, the smart buy. This happens all the time. Think about how a restaurant might put an extra large soda on the menu for just $1 more than a large one. The extra large isn't truly cheap, but it feels that way when you compare it to the slightly smaller option. The large size looks like it's not as good of a deal. It's a way we are gently pushed towards certain choices without even realizing it. We think we're being smart, picking the better value, when really we're just reacting to the numbers placed in front of us. It's a subtle push, not a trick meant to hurt us, but something to be aware of. It's not about being suspicious of every price. It's about understanding how your own mind works. When you see something that looks cheap or like a good deal, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, cheap compared to what? Is it truly a good value on its own? Or just because something else is much more expensive? Knowing this can help you make choices that truly feel right for you, not just choices that feel right because of what's next to them. It helps you see the real worth of things, and that's a powerful way to understand your own thoughts about money. Have you ever felt a little wealthier, even when your pockets were empty? It's a strange feeling, like you're already rich, just because you know some money is headed your way. Maybe your birthday is coming up, and you're expecting gift money, or perhaps your parents promised an allowance increase next month. That buzz of future cash, it's powerful, isn't it? Here's the thing. Your brain can start spending money before it even arrives. This isn't about magic. It's about a deep psychological trick our minds play on us. It's that feeling you get when you know a paycheck is coming, or a refund is on its way. Even if the actual dollars aren't in your hand yet, the idea of them starts to change how you think and act. This isn't a new idea. Humans have always looked to the future. Imagine people long ago, perhaps waiting for the harvest season. They knew the crops were growing, or that the hunting trip would bring food. Even though their stomachs might rumble now, the promise of future food gave them hope. It allowed them to plan, to perhaps use their current small resources differently. Knowing more was coming, they understood that the future holds resources, and that knowledge shaped their present choices. Philosophers, even ancient ones, often talked about hope and expectation. They saw how our thoughts about what might happen greatly affect what we do now. It's a core part of being human, this ability to live not just in the moment, but in our imagined future. Think about it like this. Imagine your favorite band announces a concert, but it's not for another year. You don't have tickets yet, and the concert itself is far off. But just knowing it's going to happen changes things. You start imagining the songs. You picture yourself there, singing along. You might even start saving money for merchandise or planning what friends to go with. That future event, even though it's not here, has a real effect on your feelings and actions today. Money works the same way. When you know a deposit is hitting your account soon, you might feel less worried about a purchase. You might be more willing to spend a little extra on something you want, because that new money feels like it's already there to cover it. You're already spending from a future pile. This feeling gives you a sense of security, maybe even a little bravery, that you wouldn't have if you didn't know the money was on its way. But here's the problem. That future money isn't truly yours until it's in your hands. Relying too much on the idea of it can sometimes lead to trouble. We might spend more than we actually have, just because our brains feel rich. It's easy to get carried away by the excitement of what's to come. So, this new money coming soon feeling is powerful. It shapes our thoughts and choices, sometimes for good, sometimes for not so good. It shows us how much our minds live in the future, always planning and hoping. Understanding this feeling, how our hopes and expectations about money influence us, can help us be more mindful. It reminds us that true financial wisdom often means being present with what we have, not just what we dream of having. It's about living in today's reality, even as we plan for tomorrow's possibilities. Have you ever wondered why we sometimes just assume that something costing more money must be better? Like if there are two exact same looking bottles of water, but one costs $5 and the other costs $1, which one do you automatically think is better quality? It's a strange trick our minds play. Here's the thing. Our brains are always looking for shortcuts. They want to make quick decisions, and one easy shortcut is to connect a higher price tag with higher quality. We tell ourselves, well, it has to be good. It's so expensive. This isn't just about simple products. It's a deep-rooted idea. For a long time, people have used expensive things to show off their wealth or status. Think about kings and queens long ago. Their clothes were not just fancy. They were made from rare, costly materials. The price itself was part of the message. I am important. I can afford this. It wasn't always about how useful or truly better the item was, but what it said about the person who owned it. A smart thinker named Thorstein Veblen, over 100 years ago, even talked about conspicuous consumption. That's a fancy way of saying buying things just to show off your money. He noticed that some things actually become more desirable when their price goes up. It's not because they suddenly work better, but because the high price makes them exclusive, like a secret club only for people with lots of cash. And that's why it matters today. Imagine you're at a shoe store. You see two pairs of sneakers. One is a brand you've never heard of, priced at $40. The other is a super famous brand, priced at $150. Even if they feel similar and look similar, your brain might lean towards the $150 pair. You might think, the expensive ones must be more comfortable, or they'll last longer, or everyone will think I'm cool if I wear those. But often, the truth is, the quality difference isn't as big as the price difference. A lot of that extra cost is for the brand name, for the idea of luxury, and for the feeling you get from owning something expensive. This isn't just about showing off, either. It's a psychological effect. In science, there's something called the placebo effect. If someone believes a sugar pill is a strong medicine, sometimes their body will react as if it is real medicine and they feel better. The belief itself has power. It's similar with price. If we believe something expensive is better, we might actually experience it as better, even if it's not objectively true. The coffee from the fancy cafe might taste a little richer just because we paid more for it. So, here's what to think about. When you're looking at something to buy, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, am I judging this based on its actual quality? Or am I just assuming it's better because of the price tag? Is this item truly worth more? Or am I simply buying into a story that a higher price tells? It's not about being cheap, but about being wise. Being aware of this trick helps you make choices based on real value, not just the numbers on a label. It helps you see things for what they truly are, beyond what they cost. Have you ever found yourself in a store, or maybe scrolling through things online, When you were feeling a powerful emotion, maybe you felt super excited after a win, or really down after something disappointing happened. And then, without even thinking much about it, you bought something? It happens more often than you might think. This isn't just a random act. There's a deep connection between our strong feelings and the choices we make with our money. Here's the thing. When our emotions run high, our brains work a little differently. The part of your brain that handles logic and careful thought, the prefrontal cortex, can get a bit quieter. Instead, the parts of your brain tied to feelings and immediate reactions, like the amygdala, become louder. So, when you're feeling intensely happy, or incredibly sad, or even frustrated, your mind might look for a quick way to keep that good feeling going, or to make the bad feeling stop. Buying something can give us a quick hit of pleasure or comfort. It's a way our brain tries to manage those big emotions. For hundreds, even thousands of years, people have talked about this. Wise thinkers in ancient times noticed how easily humans could be led by their passions, their strong feelings. They understood that if we don't pay attention to what we're feeling, those feelings can take over our actions. They taught that true strength comes from understanding our inner world, knowing when our emotions are guiding us, and learning to pause before we act. It's not about getting rid of feelings, but about noticing them. Think about it like this. Imagine you just had a really rough day at school. Maybe a test didn't go well, or you had a disagreement with a friend. You come home feeling heavy and sad. Then, you see an ad for a new video game, or maybe your favorite snack. In that moment, buying it feels like a way to escape, a small reward, a temporary fix for how you feel. The sadness pushes you towards something that promises comfort or distraction. Or, on the flip side, maybe you just won a big game or got a great grade. You feel amazing, like you can do anything. That excitement might make you want to celebrate by buying something expensive, something you might not usually consider. The joy makes you feel powerful, and spending money can feel like part of that power. So, here's what happens. These purchases often aren't about needing the item itself. They're about what we feel in that moment, and what we hope the item will do for our feelings. It's like we're trying to buy happiness, or peace, or excitement, or even just a moment of forgetfulness. Understanding this connection is a quiet strength. It's not about judging ourselves for what we buy. Instead, it's about noticing the silent language of our emotions and how they whisper to our wallets. When we see this connection, we gain a little more freedom. We can pause, breathe, and ask ourselves, is this purchase truly what I need right now? Or am I just trying to buy a feeling? It's a gentle reminder that our deepest feelings are just that, feelings, and they pass, whether we buy something or not. Have you ever found yourself holding something you just bought? Maybe a new game, a cool shirt, or even just a snack, and you suddenly wonder, why did I even buy this? It's a strange feeling, like someone else made the choice for you. Even though it was your hand reaching for it, your money paying for it. Here's the thing. Sometimes, it's almost like someone else did make the choice, or at least a part of your brain you weren't fully listening to. See, our brains are amazing, but they also have two main ways of working, kind of like two gears on a bike. There's a slow, thoughtful gear, where you really think things through, weigh pros and cons, and make a careful decision. But there's also a fast, automatic gear. This fast gear is super quick. It makes snap judgments, uses habits, and reacts without much thought. It's what helps you pull your hand away from a hot stove without pausing to think about it. It's a reflex, a shortcut. Our brains developed this way for a good reason. Think way back, thousands of years ago. If our ancestors saw a rustling in the bushes, they didn't have time to stop and logically decide if it was a harmless rabbit or a dangerous predator. Their fast brain kicked in, telling them to run right now without a second thought. This quick thinking part of our brain helped us survive. And it's still working hard today, even when we're just walking through a store or scrolling online. This fast brain is really good at finding patterns, making quick links, and picking up on small clues around us. Companies, marketers, and even the way stores are set up, they all know about this fast brain. They understand how it works, and they often try to speak directly to it. They use colors, sounds, smells, and even the placement of products to trigger that quick, automatic decision-making part of your mind. Imagine this. You're walking through a convenience store, maybe just getting a drink. As you head to the checkout, you see a display right there, full of brightly colored candy bars and shiny packages of gum. Your fast brain quickly connects sweet treat with right here, easy to grab. And before your slower thinking brain can even ask, do I really need this sugar right now? Your hand might already be reaching. It's not a big, dramatic decision. It's a quiet whisper, a gentle push from that automatic part of your brain, influenced by everything you just saw. So, when you find yourself wondering why you bought something, it's a good moment to pause. It's not about being tricked, but about understanding these hidden currents that guide our choices. Our minds are full of these automatic pathways, built up over time and through experience. The more we understand how our own minds work, the more we can gently steer our decisions, rather than just being carried along by the invisible flow. It's about being curious about yourself and learning to listen to both the fast whispers and the slow thoughts. Have you ever stopped to think why you reach for the same cereal box every time you go to the grocery store? Or why you always choose that one particular brand of shoes, even when there are so many others? It's a quiet habit, almost invisible, but it shapes so much of what we buy. And here's the thing, it's not just about the product itself, it's about how our minds work. Our brains are always looking for shortcuts. Imagine if every single decision you made throughout your day needed deep thought, a full research project. What kind of toothpaste to buy? Research. What kind of socks? Research. You'd be exhausted before lunch. So, our brains try to save energy. When we find something that works, something we like, or something we trust, we tend to stick with it. This creates a kind of mental pathway, a smooth road that our thoughts can travel without much effort. We call this cognitive ease. It feels good because it's easy. This isn't a new idea. Humans have been doing this for a very long time, stretching back to our earliest ancestors. Think about it. If a cave dweller found a certain berry that tasted good and didn't make them sick, they would remember that berry patch. They wouldn't waste time trying every single berry in the forest each day. Sticking with what was known and safe meant survival. It reduced risk. This ancient habit of trusting what's familiar, what has worked before, is still deeply wired into us. It made sense then, and in a busy world, it still feels like it makes sense now. So, when you always grab that specific brand of potato chips, it's not just because you love their crunch. It's also because your brain has already done the work. It knows those chips are good. You expect them to taste a certain way, to be in that specific bag, with that familiar design. There's comfort in that. It's like putting on your favorite hoodie. You know how it feels, how it fits. There are no surprises. Choosing a new hoodie from a different brand means uncertainty. Will it be scratchy? Will it fit weird? Your brain prefers the known comfort of your favorite. This goes beyond just convenience. Our favorite brands often become part of who we are, or at least how we see ourselves. If your friends all wear a certain shoe brand, and you start wearing it too, it can make you feel like you belong. It's a quiet way of showing what group you're part of. Over time, these choices, these loyalties to brands, weave themselves into the fabric of our daily lives, often without us even realizing it. They shape our choices, our expectations, and even a little bit of our identity. It's a quiet understanding between us and the world, where comfort and familiarity often win over the unknown. And that's why, in so many ways, we find ourselves always sticking with our favorite brands. Think about this for a moment. What if the smallest choices we make, the ones we barely notice, are actually the most powerful? It's easy to look at a small purchase, a candy bar from the corner store, a new song downloaded online, or a few minutes of extra game time that costs $1 or $2, and think, it's just $1 or $2. No big deal at all. And on its own, each of these really isn't a big deal. Our brains are built to focus on the big, obvious numbers. We see a new phone that costs $800, and we instantly think, wow, that's a huge amount of money. But here's the quiet trick. We often completely miss what happens with all the small buys. These are the expenses that slip under our radar, unnoticed, because each one feels so tiny. For thousands of years, wise people across different cultures have understood something deep about the power of small thing. They talked about how tiny actions, repeated daily, could build or break a whole life. It's like the ancient idea of virtue, not about one grand heroic deed, but about countless small acts of honesty or courage, day after day, quietly shaping a person. Or consider a simple proverb like, "A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step." No one single step gets you to your destination, but without each and every tiny step, you'd never move. The same quiet truth applies to our money. Imagine a student who buys a specialized energy drink or a fancy coffee every single school day. Let's say it costs $5. $5 doesn't feel like a big expense when you're standing in line, right? But if they do that 5 days a week, that adds up to $25 a week. And if they keep that up for a typical school year, maybe 36 weeks, that's $900. Suddenly, that small daily $5 drink isn't small at all. It's a significant sum. Think of it like a tiny stream of water running over a rock. One drop does absolutely nothing. But millions of drops, day after day, year after year, can carve a deep canyon. Each small buy is a tiny drop of money, quietly flowing away. And together, they can create a surprisingly deep canyon in your savings or your spending. So, this isn't about telling you to never buy anything small or fun. That's not the point. The real lesson here is about seeing. It's about understanding the quiet, almost invisible power of these everyday choices. When you truly grasp how these little things accumulate, you gain a kind of gentle freedom. You stop being tricked by their smallness. You start to see your money not just as static coins and bills, but as something that constantly flows, shaped by all your tiny decisions, both big and small. And that's why this awareness matters so deeply. Because when you understand the flow, you can choose its direction, quietly and with intention, even in the smallest moments of your day. Have you ever walked into a store or looked online and seen a bundle deal that just felt right? Like a video game console that comes with 3 games and an extra controller, all for one price? Or a fast food meal that gives you a burger, fries, and a drink together? There's this quiet voice in your head that whispers, "That's a good deal. That's smart." But why does it feel that way? Here's the thing. When you see a bundle, your mind does a quick calculation, almost without you noticing. It compares the price of the whole package to what each item would cost if you bought them separately. And, usually, the bundle price is lower than the sum of its parts. So, right away, your brain registers a saving. It feels like you're winning, like you found a clever way to get more for less. This feeling, this sense of getting a bargain, is a very old part of being human. Think about it this way. For thousands of years, people have looked for ways to trade and acquire goods that made them feel rich, or at least like they got the better end of a deal. Back in ancient markets, if a trader offered you a basket of fresh fruit, some dried fish, and a useful tool, all for 1 coin, and you knew each item alone would cost a fraction of that coin, it felt like a discovery. It wasn't just about the items themselves, but the feeling of cleverness, of having outsmarted the usual way things were bought. This isn't really about trickery. It's about our minds being wired to appreciate what looks like efficiency and abundance. We are drawn to the idea of a complete set, a whole solution, without having to pick and choose each small piece. Here's an example from daily life. Imagine you're at a fast food place, and you want a burger. You see the burger by itself for $4. Then you see a value meal for $6, which includes the same burger, a side of fries, and a drink. Your first thought might be, well, the fries and drink must be worth at least $2, probably more. So, suddenly, buying the value meal seems like a better choice, even if you weren't craving fries or a drink that much. The perceived discount on the whole package overshadows whether you truly needed or wanted every single item in it. Your mind sees the extra fries and drink as free bonus items, rather than seeing the total cost of something you might only half want. And that's why it matters. Bundles play on our natural desire for value and our dislike for missing out on a good deal. They make us feel smart, like we're getting an edge. It's not that these deals are always bad. Sometimes they really are a great way to save money on things you truly need. But the deeper understanding is that our minds are incredibly sensitive to how choices are presented. A bundle isn't just a collection of items. It's a story of value, told in a way that makes us feel clever for accepting it. Being aware of this quiet pull, this inner sense of winning, can help us pause just for a moment and ask ourselves if we really want everything in that bundle or just the one thing that truly sparked our interest. It's a small, gentle step towards understanding the silent language of our own thoughts about value. Have you ever felt like you bought something, but you weren't quite sure why that specific choice felt so right? Like there was something hidden pushing you towards it. Here's the thing. Sometimes, stores or websites offer you a choice that looks bad on purpose. It's not there for you to buy it. It's there to make something else look much better. Think of it like this. You might be choosing between two things, product A and product B. They both seem okay. But then, a third option appears. Product C. Product C is clearly worse than product A, and even worse than product B. But here's what happens. Product C makes product B suddenly seem amazing. It highlights all the good things about product B, making it stand out as the smart choice. Even if product A was just as good before product C showed up. This isn't about making product C attractive. It's about using product C to make product B shine brighter. It nudges your mind without you even knowing it. People have used this trick for a long time. It taps into a very old way our brains work. We don't just decide if something is good or bad on its own. We mostly decide if it's good or bad compared to something else. Our minds are built for comparison. If you see a medium-sized apple and a large-sized apple, you might just pick the large one. But what if there's a small, slightly bruised apple next to them? Suddenly, the medium-sized apple looks pretty good, maybe even just as good as the large one, because it's so much better than the clearly worse small one. This is how ancient traders might have laid out their goods, making one item seem like a steal by putting a worse version next to it. It's not about logic. It's about how our minds judge value based on what's nearby. Our brains prefer clear winners, and a decoy creates that clear winner. Let's imagine you're at the movie theater, thinking about popcorn. They give you 3 sizes. Small popcorn for $5, medium popcorn for $8, large popcorn for $8.5. Think about that. The small is $5, the medium is $8, and the large is only 50 cents more than the medium. For much more popcorn, which one looks like the best deal? Most people would pick the large one. Why? Because the medium popcorn is the secret option here. It's the decoy. It's not meant for you to buy it. It's there to make the large popcorn look incredibly appealing. Compared to the medium, the large seems like a no-brainer. You're getting so much more for barely any extra money. Without the medium option, you might just get the small. But with the medium there, close in price to the large, it pushes you right into buying the biggest size. So, what does this tell us? It shows us how easily our choices can be shaped, not by what we truly need or want, but by the way things are presented to us. It's a quiet whisper in the mind, guiding us down a path we might not have chosen if we just looked at the options on their own. The next time you see 3 choices, especially if one seems oddly priced or not very good, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, is this option really here for me to buy it? Or is it here to make something else look like the perfect fit? Understanding this subtle trick helps us see the world a little clearer. It gives us a moment to step back and make a choice that truly feels right for us, not just one that was made to look right. Have you ever felt that quick, sharp pull when you see a sign, limited time offer, or only 3 left? It's like a tiny, urgent voice in your head screams, buy it now, or you'll regret it. This feeling, this rush to grab something before it vanishes, is a powerful trick our minds play on us, especially when it comes to money and deals. Here's the thing. Our brains are wired to pay special attention to things that are scarce. Scarcity simply means there isn't much of something, or it won't be around for long. When something is rare or seems like it's about to disappear, our minds automatically think it's more valuable. It's a deep-seated human response. Think about it this way. Hundreds of years ago, if a rare type of fruit was only available for a few weeks each year, people would rush to gather it. It was a matter of survival, a chance to get something special and important before it was gone. That same ancient wiring That same basic instinct still hums inside us today. But instead of rare fruit, it's now applied to sales on video games, or concert tickets that are selling out fast, or even a special edition snack that won't be made again. So, when a store advertises a flash sale that lasts only for a few hours, or says there are limited quantities of a popular item, they're tapping into this old part of our brain. They're making the deal seem like that rare fruit. The thought of missing out on a good price feels like a loss. And our brains really, really hate losing things. It's called the fear of missing out, or FOMO. But in this case, it's about missing a financial gain, a smart move, a great deal. Let's imagine your favorite band announces a surprise show. Tickets go on sale tomorrow, and the website warns that only a few hundred tickets are available. Suddenly, even if you weren't planning to spend money on a concert right now, that small number of tickets, that immediate pressure, makes it feel incredibly important. You might jump online the second sales open, ready to buy, not just because you love the band, but because the chance itself is rare and could vanish. The idea of not getting one feels worse than spending the money. The limited availability makes the experience feel even more exclusive and desirable. It pushes us to act quickly, without much time to truly think about whether we really need or want it, or if it fits our budget. This isn't about blaming anyone. It's just how our minds work. We value what's unique, what's about to be gone. A shiny gemstone is worth more than a common pebble, mainly because gemstones are harder to find. When a deal is presented as rare, limited time, limited stock, our brains give it a higher value, almost tricking us into thinking the deal itself is the precious item we must not lose. So, the next time you feel that urgent pull to buy something because the deal might disappear, just pause, take a breath, ask yourself, am I buying this because I truly need or want it, and it fits my plans? Or am I buying it because my mind is simply reacting to the idea of missing out on something that feels rare? The true value of something might not be in how quickly it's selling, or how soon the sale ends, but in how much it genuinely adds to your life. Sometimes, the best deal is the one you walk away from with calm in your heart, knowing you made a choice that was right for you, not just for the clock. Have you ever scrolled through your phone, maybe on a social media app, and seen an ad for something you were just thinking about? Like, you just told a friend you needed a new backpack, and then suddenly, there's an ad for the perfect one. It can feel a little strange, right? Like the internet is somehow reading your mind, or listening in on your conversations. It makes you wonder, how do they know? Here's the thing, they aren't magic, and they aren't reading your mind. They are, however, very good at collecting clues. Every time you click on a video, visit a website, search for something, or even just pause on a picture for a moment, you're leaving a little trail. These trails are like digital breadcrumbs, and computers are incredibly good at gathering them up. They collect tiny bits of information about what you like, what you look at, and what you seem interested in. Then, they use special computer programs, called algorithms, to guess what you might want next. These guesses are often turned into the ads you see. It wasn't always like this. A long time ago, advertising was much simpler. Imagine watching television in the 1980s. You'd see a commercial for a car or a soft drink, and that same commercial would play for everyone watching, whether they needed a car or not. Advertisers hoped that enough people would see it and decide to buy. There was no real way for them to know you, personally, or what you might want. But then came the internet, and with it, a massive change. Websites started keeping track of what people clicked on. Then came social media, where people shared their interests, their likes, and their dislikes. This started letting companies learn about individual people, not just big groups. The shift moved from just telling you about a product to trying to guess what you'd want before you even knew it yourself. Think of it this way. Imagine you have a favorite ice cream flavor. Let's say it's chocolate chip cookie dough. Now, imagine a store that somehow knows this, not because you told them, but because they watched you always pick that flavor, or saw you searching online for cookie dough recipes. Then, every time you walk by, they put a big sign right in front of you that says, "Fresh chocolate chip cookie dough ice cream." They don't just put up a sign for any ice cream. they put one up for the exact one they know you like. That's what these computer programs try to do with ads. They aim to be so good at guessing, based on your digital trail, that it feels like they know your deepest desires for shoes, games, or even snacks. And that's why it matters. When ads feel so personal, it makes us think, are we truly choosing what we buy? Or are these clever programs gently nudging us? Does it just make life easier, helping us find cool things we might like? Or does it quietly shape our desires without us even noticing? It makes you think about how much control we really have over our own thoughts and choices, especially when it comes to spending money. Understanding how this works, just knowing that it's data and algorithms doing the work, is a powerful thing. It helps you make your own decisions, rather than simply reacting to what's put right in front of you. It's about being aware, and then choosing for yourself. Have you ever really wanted something right now? Like the latest video game or that one cool jacket everyone seems to have? It's a powerful feeling, isn't it? That deep urge to have something instantly, without any waiting. This feeling, this pull, has a big impact on how we think about money and the choices we make. Here's how it works. Our brains are wired to seek rewards. For a long time in human history, getting a reward right away was important for survival. If you found food, you ate it. If you saw a warm cave, you went inside. Waiting often wasn't an option. So, we developed this strong desire for what's called instant gratification. It means getting what we want immediately, without any delay. When it comes to money, this means buying something the moment we see it, even if it's not truly needed, or if saving for something bigger would be wiser. Think about it this way. Early thinkers, people long ago, recognized this struggle inside us. Philosophers in ancient Greece, like the Stoics, talked a lot about self-control. They believed that true freedom wasn't just doing whatever you wanted. Instead, it was about having the strength to choose what was good for you in the long run, even if it meant delaying a small pleasure now. They knew it was hard, but they also knew it led to a more thoughtful, better life. It was about understanding your own mind and not letting your impulses always win. Here's an example that might sound familiar. You've probably heard of the marshmallow test. In this famous experiment, young kids were given a choice. They could eat one marshmallow right away, or they could wait just a few minutes and get 2 marshmallows. Some kids couldn't resist. They ate the first marshmallow quickly, but other kids, even though it was super hard, managed to wait. They covered their eyes, looked away, or even sang to themselves to distract from the yummy treat right in front of them. The amazing thing? The kids who waited, who chose the delayed reward, often did better in school and had stronger self-control later in life. It wasn't really about marshmallows. It was about learning to be patient, to delay a small reward now for a bigger, better one later. It's like saving your allowance for months to buy a really cool bike instead of spending it every week on small toys that break easily. The bike takes longer, but the reward is much bigger and lasts longer. Our world today often feeds this feeling of wanting everything now. We can order almost anything online and have it at our door tomorrow. We can stream movies instantly. We can send a message and expect an immediate reply. But understanding this deep pull inside us, this ancient part of our brain that just wants the reward now, can help us make better choices with our money and in our lives. It's not about always saying no to fun things. It's about knowing how your mind works and finding a quiet strength in waiting, in choosing what truly serves you in the long run. It's a journey of quiet curiosity about ourselves. Have you ever noticed how the very first piece of information you get, especially about a number or a price, tends to stick in your mind like glue? It's a strange thing our brains do, almost without us realizing it. Imagine you're trying to guess the number of candies in a jar. If someone first says, "Is it more or less than 500?" that 500 becomes a point in your mind. Even if the real answer is much smaller, your guesses will likely be closer to 500 than if the first number they said was 50. This mental trick has a name. It's called the anchoring effect. It's like your brain drops an anchor as soon as it hears that first number or sees that first piece of information. All the other numbers or ideas that come after are judged based on where that anchor landed. Think of a ship dropping its anchor in the ocean. The ship can still move, but it won't drift too far from where that anchor is set. Our minds work in a similar way. They stay tethered to that first bit of data. Our brains are incredibly efficient, and they're always looking for shortcuts. Back when humans lived in a wilder world, quick decisions could mean the difference between staying safe or facing danger. Our minds still work that way today, even when we're just picking out a snack or thinking about money. They grab onto the first solid thing they find to help make sense of the world, especially when things are uncertain or when we don't have all the facts. It's less about deep, careful thought and more about a quick impression, a starting point for judgment. Here's a simple example that might happen to you. Imagine you're looking for a new pair of headphones online. You click on a website, and the first pair you see is a super fancy, top-of-the-line model priced at $300. That's your first piece of information, your anchor. You might think, wow, that's a lot. Then you scroll down and see another pair that looks pretty good, priced at $150. Compared to the $300 headphones, the $150 pair suddenly seems like a pretty good deal, right? Your brain has used the $300 as an anchor. It makes the $150 seem much more reasonable, maybe even cheap, by comparison. But here's the thing. What if the first headphones you saw were only $50? Then the $150 pair might seem really expensive instead. The actual quality or sound of the headphones didn't change, but your feeling about their value did, all because of that first number you saw. That initial price set the stage for everything that followed. This mental shortcut happens all the time with money. When people sell things, when you try to figure out what something is worth, or even when you think about how much money you should ask for, that first number can truly influence your judgment. It guides how much you offer, or how much you think you should pay, or even how much you believe something is truly worth. So, what does this mean for us? It means our minds are powerful, but they also take these automatic shortcuts without us even knowing. It's not about anyone trying to trick you. It's simply how our brains are wired to process information and make sense of the world quickly. But knowing this can help you. It lets you pause and ask yourself, is this choice truly mine? Or am I reacting to that first number I heard or saw? It gives you a quiet moment to step back and decide if that initial anchor is actually in the right place for you. And that's a deep kind of freedom, to truly choose for yourself, to see things a little more clearly. Have you ever wanted something really badly, just because everyone else seemed to have it? Maybe it was a new video game, a certain kind of shoe, or even a specific snack. It's a strange pull, isn't it? This feeling that if everyone else is doing it, or buying it, it must be right. This same powerful pull shows up when people think about money, especially when it comes to something called stocks. When you buy a stock, you're buying a tiny piece of a company. If the company does well, that piece you own might become worth more money. But what happens when people buy stocks not because they've studied the company, but just because everyone else is buying them? Here's the thing. This isn't a new idea. People have been doing this for centuries, long before the internet or smartphones. Imagine a time, a very long time ago in a country called the Netherlands. People suddenly became obsessed with tulip flowers. Not just any tulips, but certain rare kinds. The price of these tulip bulbs started to go up and up. People weren't buying them to plant in their gardens. They were buying them because they saw others buying them, and they thought the price would just keep going higher forever. It was a massive wave of excitement. People sold their houses, their land, everything they had, just to buy tulip bulbs. They truly believed they would get rich. But then, as always happens with these kinds of trends, the excitement faded. The prices crashed, and many people lost everything. It was a clear example of what happens when people follow the crowd without thinking. Think about it like this. Imagine a new band suddenly gets very popular. All your friends are listening to their songs, wearing their t-shirts. At first, you might not know anything about them. But because everyone else is so excited, you start to feel like you should be excited too. You listen to their music. You buy their album. You might even start telling others how great they are. Not because you've truly connected with the music, but because you're part of the big wave of fans. It feels good to be part of something popular. It feels safe, But what if the music isn't actually that good for you? What if you prefer something else? When it comes to stocks, this feeling of wanting to be part of the crowd can be risky. If everyone is buying a stock, its price goes up. But it doesn't always mean the company itself is truly valuable. Sometimes the price goes up just because of the excitement, just because of the rush of people joining in. And when that excitement fades, or when people realize the company isn't worth that much, the price can drop very quickly. So, here's what happened. Many people make decisions about money not based on facts or careful thought, but based on what the crowd is doing. It's a deep part of human nature to want to belong, to feel safe by following others. But maybe the real trick when it comes to your money, and especially investing, isn't about knowing what everyone else is doing. Maybe it's about pausing, thinking for yourself, asking if something truly makes sense beyond the noise of the crowd. It's about finding your own path, not just walking where everyone else has already walked. Have you ever felt like you should do one thing with your money, but then you end up doing the complete opposite? Like you tell yourself, I'm going to save up for that new video game, but then you find yourself buying snacks every day, and the money just disappears? It's a strange feeling, isn't it? This inner tug-of-war, where what you believe about money bumps heads with what you actually do. Here's the thing, that uncomfortable feeling has a name, even if we don't always use it. It's like your mind is holding two different ideas that don't quite fit together. One idea is your plan or your values. I want to be smart with my money. The other idea is your action. But I just spent it all on little things. When these two ideas clash, our brains don't like it. They try to find a way to make sense of the mismatch. Or sometimes, we just try to ignore the feeling. People have thought about this kind of mind clash for a very long time. Thousands of years ago, even ancient Greek thinkers wondered why humans often don't do what they know is best for them. They talked about the difference between our reason, which is the part of us that thinks logically and makes plans, and our desires or appetites, which are the parts that want things right now, like that candy bar or that cool new app. They saw it as an ongoing battle inside us. It's not a new problem, it's just part of being human. Figuring out how to guide yourself when your instant wants pull one way and your long-term goals pull another. Think about it like this. Imagine you're building a Lego castle. You have a picture in your mind of what it will look like, and you have a big pile of bricks. Your goal is to build that amazing castle. But then, as you're building, you keep finding cool individual bricks and decide to make little tiny cars or minifigures with them instead. Each little car is fun for a moment, and it doesn't feel like a big deal. But then you look at your castle, and it's not really growing. You've used up a lot of your bricks, and the castle you wanted to build is still just a picture in your head. Your action, making small cars, doesn't match your goal, building the big castle. The same thing happens with money. You want a big financial castle, but small, easy-to-do spending cars use up your resources. So, what does this mean for us? It means it's normal to feel this way. It's not a weakness. It's a window into how our minds work. When you notice that feeling of discomfort, that little mental ping when your spending doesn't match your saving goals, it's a signal. It's your brain telling you, hey, there's a gap here. Recognizing this gap is the first step. It's about being curious about your own mind, understanding why you might make certain choices, and then, if you want, slowly, gently, trying to bring your actions and your values a little closer together. It's a journey, not a switch you just flip. Have you ever noticed how sometimes the things you almost buy stick in your mind longer than the things you actually bought? It's a strange feeling, isn't it? Like a song you heard just a snippet of, or a story left unfinished. Here's the thing. Our brains are built to pay attention to tasks that aren't quite done. When you get close to buying something, but then you don't, your brain marks it as an unfinished task. It's like an open tab in your mind. This is a real psychological idea. Our minds remember uncompleted actions better than completed ones. It's not about the item itself, but the action of nearly getting it and then stopping. That incomplete action creates a kind of tension. This idea was first noticed by a Russian psychologist, Bluma Zygarnik. She was in a cafe and saw how waiters remembered unpaid orders, but quickly forgot paid ones. It made her wonder, It showed her that our minds hold on to things still active, still needing attention. Think about it. For ancient people, if you started building a shelter but didn't finish, your mind would keep reminding you. If you began gathering food but stopped too soon, your brain would bug you. It's a very old way our brains help us survive. We naturally want to complete what we start. We seek closure. It's how we learn and grow. Imagine you're playing a video game. You're super close to beating a tough level. You fight the boss, get their health bar almost to zero, and then you lose. Game over. Now, think about that level. You probably remember every detail of that near win. The attacks you almost dodged. The perfect move you almost pulled off. You might think about it all day. But when you do beat a level, you often forget it quickly, especially if it was easy. The almost sticks because your brain sees it as an unfinished mission. It's the same with those cool sneakers you almost bought, or that new book you flipped through but put back. Your mind keeps running the scenario, thinking about what might have been. It's trying to finish the story. So, this quiet little feeling, this memory of things we almost did, tells us something deep about ourselves. Our minds are always working, always trying to bring things to a close. They don't like open ends. It's a gentle reminder that our thoughts aren't just shaped by what we have, but also by what we seek. It shows us how powerful our desires can be, even the ones we don't act on. And it shows us that sometimes the things that truly stay with us are the ones that whisper, "What if?" They nudge us to keep trying, to understand the world a little better. It's a quiet hum in the background of our minds, a reminder that the journey, even when incomplete, can be just as memorable as the destination. Have you ever tried to save money, maybe for a new video game or a cool pair of shoes, but found it really hard to stick to your plan? It feels like a simple idea, right? Just decide how much you'll spend and how much you'll save. But here's the thing. Our brains are actually wired in ways that make this surprisingly difficult. It's not just about willpower. It's about how we think, how we feel, and how quickly our minds get bored or seek instant rewards. We often want what we want right now, and waiting for something big later feels like a long, hard journey. This immediate desire, this pull towards what feels good in the moment, is a powerful force that works against our best intentions for the future. This struggle isn't new. People have faced this challenge for thousands of years. Ancient philosophers, thinkers from long ago, often talked about the battle between our higher selves, the part of us that plans and thinks long-term, and our lower selves, the part that craves instant pleasure and avoids discomfort. They understood that humans naturally lean towards what's easy and satisfying right now. Think about it. Early humans needed to eat when food was available, not save it for a week later when they might be starving. Our brains developed to grab opportunities in the present. So, this impulse to spend now isn't a flaw. It's a very old part of our human nature. It's a leftover instinct from a time when waiting truly could mean going without. It's a bit like trying to eat healthy when there's a huge, delicious chocolate cake right in front of you. You know, vegetables are better for you in the long run. You know, you'll feel healthier and have more energy if you choose the salad. But that cake? It smells amazing. It looks incredible. And your brain in that moment screams, "Eat the cake! It's right here. It tastes good now." This is called present bias in psychology. We tend to value things that are immediate much more than things that are far away, even if the long-term thing is much better for us. It's the same with money. Saving for college or a future goal feels distant and less exciting than buying that new gadget you've been wanting today. The brain just prefers the immediate reward. So, when you find it tough to stick to a money plan, understand that you're not alone. It's not a sign that you're bad with money or lack discipline. It's a deeply human struggle. It's about recognizing the powerful urges within us and learning to gently guide them, instead of letting them always take the lead. It's about understanding that our minds are built to seek comfort and immediate joy. But with a little awareness, we can teach ourselves to find joy in future possibilities too. It's a journey of balancing what we want now with what we truly need for later. And that's a powerful step towards truly understanding ourselves. Have you ever tried to sell something you really loved? Maybe it was a video game console you spent countless hours on, or a worn-out t-shirt from a concert that meant everything to you. What happens when someone offers you money for it? Chances are, you probably thought it was worth more than they did. And that's a real puzzle, isn't it? Why does our stuff feel more valuable to us? Just because it's ours. Here's the thing. Our minds play a trick on us. When we own something, we start to see it differently. It's not just an object anymore. It takes on a part of us. It becomes special, unique, maybe even irreplaceable. This feeling makes us value our own possessions much higher than we would if they belonged to someone else. It makes us think our old skateboard is worth more than a new, shiny one, because of all the memories carved into its scratches. This isn't a new idea. For thousands of years, humans have felt a deep connection to what they own. Think about ancient times. A hunter might have made a special spear, spent hours shaping it, making it just right. That spear wasn't just a tool. It was a part of his skill, his survival, his story. It would have been very hard for him to just give it away or sell it cheaply, even if another spear was exactly the same. It's like our sense of self gets tied up with our possessions. Our things aren't just things. They hold our efforts, our memories, our feelings. Let's think about something simple, something you might have. Imagine you have a really cool, limited edition action figure. You saved up for it, you found it, you brought it home. Maybe it sits on your desk. You look at it every day. You know its details, its tiny imperfections. Now, imagine a friend offers to buy it. They offer what seems like a good price, maybe even more than you paid. But a little part of you might hesitate. You might think, no, it's worth more to me. You might even decide not to sell, even if you could use the money. This isn't about logic. It's about that feeling of ownership, that connection. The figure isn't just plastic and paint. It's a piece of your collection, a part of your space. So, what does this tell us about money and how we think? It tells us that our decisions about money aren't always just about numbers and facts. They're deeply tied to our emotions. Our feelings about what we own can make us value things in ways that don't always make sense to others. It's a quiet reminder that true worth isn't always found on a price tag. Sometimes, the things we own hold a value that only we can truly understand. A value woven into the fabric of our own lives. And that's a kind of richness money can't always buy or even measure. Have you ever thought about how big events in the world, even the ones far away, can change how you and your family think about money? It's kind of a strange idea, but here's the thing. Our minds are like sponges, soaking up everything happening around us. And when something big happens, like a sudden economic change, or a global health scare, or even just a major local event, like a big storm, it really messes with how we feel inside. These feelings, worry, uncertainty, or even a sense of wanting to prepare directly shape how we spend, save, or even just look at our money. This isn't new. Humans have always reacted this way. Think about stories your grandparents might tell about hard times, or times of big change. Maybe they lived through a time when jobs were scarce, or when certain goods were hard to find. Those experiences taught them important lessons about being careful with what they had, about saving for a rainy day, or about not taking anything for granted. For them, money wasn't just numbers. It was a way to feel safe, to prepare. Their past shaped their money moves in a big way. We carry some of that history with us, even if we don't realize it. It's built into how families talk about money, even without saying much at all. Here's an example from everyday life. Imagine your school suddenly announces a really long, unexpected break, maybe because of bad weather or something else completely unforeseen. At first, it might feel exciting, but after a few days, your family might start thinking differently. Your parents might start worrying about work or how to keep food in the fridge if stores close. You might notice them buying more of certain things, or suddenly being very careful with lights. The sudden change, the break in the usual rhythm, makes everyone think about what they really need and how to make things last. It's like a quiet shift in everyone's mind, a new focus on being prepared and using resources wisely. This is exactly how big world events work on a larger scale. When the news talks about inflation, or a stock market dip, or even natural disasters happening far away, it creates a subtle feeling of unease. Our brains, wanting to keep us safe, change our money habits. Some people might start saving more, holding onto every dollar, because they feel uncertain about the future. Others might suddenly buy things they think they'll need, or spend money quickly if they feel it might lose value later. It's like a subconscious whisper telling us to react, to adjust our financial compass. So, when you see a family member making a different money choice after a big news story, or when you feel yourself wanting to hold on to your allowance more tightly after hearing about something serious, remember this. It's not just a random decision. It's often a very human, very deep response to the world around us. Our feelings are powerful guides, and they tell us how to act, especially when it comes to something as vital as our resources. Understanding this doesn't mean we have to let fear or worry control us. Instead, it means we can pause, understand why we feel a certain way, and then choose our path forward with more thought, less raw reaction. It's about being aware, about understanding that our minds and the world are always connected, always influencing each other in quiet, important ways. Have you ever had a truly rotten day? Like, spilled your breakfast, missed the bus, and then forgot your homework, all before lunch? And did you maybe think, okay, this day has been so bad, something good has to happen now, right? That feeling, that quiet hope, is a trick our minds play. It's the idea that if something unlucky happens a lot, then soon luck must balance out. It's like we believe the universe keeps a tally, and if we've been on the bad luck side for too long, it owes us a good luck turn. We see a pattern forming, a pattern of bad things, and we just expect the opposite to follow. This way of thinking often shows up when we deal with money too. We might lose money on a small investment and then think, well, I'm due for a win now. But here's the thing. Luck doesn't work that way. For a very long time, people have tried to understand luck. Ancient cultures had gods and goddesses for fortune and fate. They believed certain actions or rituals could influence whether good or bad things happened. The idea of karma in some philosophies suggests that good deeds lead to good outcomes, and bad deeds to bad ones over time. Even in our modern world, we look for order. Our brains are wired to find patterns, even when there aren't any real connections. So, when we see a streak of bad events, our brains naturally try to predict the opposite, hoping for balance. It's less about actual cosmic scales, and more about how our minds try to make sense of a random world. Think about flipping a coin. If you flip a coin and it lands on heads 5 times in a row, what do you guess it will be on the 6th flip? Many people would bet on tails. They'd think, it's been heads so many times it has to be tails now. But here's the truth. The coin has no memory. Each flip is a brand new event. The chances of it landing on heads are still 50-50s. And the chances of it landing on tails are still 50-50s. The previous 5 flips don't change the odds of the next one. It's the same with bad luck and money. Just because you made a poor choice or had a financial setback, it doesn't mean your next money decision will automatically be a winner. Your chances of success on the next thing depend on the facts of that next thing, not what happened before. Understanding this helps us think more clearly about choices, especially money choices. We can learn to separate what feels like a pattern from what is truly random chance. It reminds us that setbacks are just that, setbacks. They don't predict guaranteed success or failure in the future. Instead of waiting for good luck to rescue us after bad luck, we can focus on learning from what happened. We can make smarter choices next time based on information, not just a feeling that we're due for a win. It's about being prepared, being thoughtful, and knowing that while life has its ups and downs, the future isn't promised just because the past was tough. We have to keep moving forward, making our own thoughtful steps. Have you ever walked past a store and it seemed empty, so you just kept going? But then another time, that same store was packed, buzzing with people, and suddenly you wanted to go inside too? Or maybe you saw something online and it said, over 1 million sold. And just like that, the item seemed more interesting, more important. Why does seeing what others do, or how many things are sold, make us feel a certain way about money and what we buy? Here's the thing. Our minds have a deep, quiet tendency to look at what other people are doing. It's called social proof. It's like our brains whisper, If everyone else is choosing this, it must be good, right? We see a big number or a big crowd, and we take it as a sign. We think if so many people want it, there must be a good reason. And sometimes, that thought alone makes us want it too. This isn't a new trick. It's actually a very old part of being human. Think about it. Long, long ago, when people lived in tribes, seeing everyone else doing something was often a good idea. If a whole group suddenly ran from a rustling in the bushes, you'd probably run too, even if you didn't see the danger yourself. It was a shortcut for safety. It was a way to survive. This ancient instinct, this way of copying others, still lives inside us. It helps us feel like we belong, and it gives us a quick way to decide things without having to figure everything out ourselves. Consider a popular snack, maybe a new type of candy bar or a trending drink. At first, you might not even notice it, but then you see ads saying, "America's favorite," or "millions sold last month." Your friends start talking about it, posting pictures with it. You see it everywhere. Slowly, without even realizing it, that snack starts to seem more appealing. You might not have been hungry for it before, but now, because so many others are enjoying it, a quiet thought begins to form. Maybe I should try that. Everyone else likes it so much. You start to believe it must be good, not just because of its taste, but because of its popularity. That's the power of the numbers, quietly shaping your thoughts. So, what does this mean for us? It means understanding that our desires can be gently shaped by the world around us, especially by how many other people seem to want something. It's a moment to pause. When you see those big sales numbers, or a crowded place, and feel that pull to join in, take a breath. It's not about judging others or yourself. It's about being aware. It's a quiet challenge. To look at the numbers, to see the crowd, and then to calmly ask yourself, do I genuinely need this? Is this truly valuable to me? Or am I just following the hum of the crowd? Understanding this gentle push can help you make choices that truly feel right for you, beyond what everyone else is doing. Have you ever wondered why some things just feel right to buy? It's not always about needing them. Sometimes, it's like an item whispers a secret promise to you. Here's the thing. Much of that feeling comes from stories. Not the kind you read in a book, but the kind companies build around their products. When a company sells something, they're not just selling an object. They're selling a feeling, an idea, a piece of a story. They want you to connect with that story. And when you connect, the item starts to feel special, important, or even necessary. It moves from being just a thing to something that helps you imagine a different life or a different version of yourself. This isn't a new trick. Humans have always used stories to understand the world and decide what has value. Think back to ancient times. People told myths about heroes who used special tools or wore particular clothes. These objects weren't just useful. They were symbols of bravery, wisdom, or power. A warrior's shield wasn't just a piece of metal. It carried the story of battles fought and victories won. These stories made the shield more than an object. It became a part of the warrior's identity, and people respected it, perhaps even wanted one like it. Today, it works much the same way. Imagine a company that sells outdoor gear, like hiking boots or backpacks. They could just tell you the boots are waterproof and have good grip. But what do they usually show you in their ads? They show someone climbing a tall mountain, standing on a peak with the wind blowing, looking strong and happy. Or maybe someone sitting by a campfire under a starry sky, peaceful and free. They're not just selling boots. They're selling the story of adventure, courage, and finding peace in nature. The boots become a symbol of that story. You see those images, you hear that story, and suddenly, you're not just buying boots. You're buying the chance to feel strong, adventurous, and free. You might even start to believe that owning those boots will help you become the person in the story. This is how stories wrap around simple objects and give them a deeper meaning, making them much more desirable. So, the next time you feel drawn to something in a store or online, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, what story is this item trying to tell me? What kind of life or feeling is it trying to connect with inside me? Understanding this can help you see past the surface and make choices that truly match who you are. rather than just what a story wants you to believe. It's about being aware of the quiet whispers that shape our desires. Have you ever looked at a challenge and thought, I can totally ace this? Maybe it was a video game level everyone struggled with, or a tricky math problem. We all have moments where we feel a little extra confident, like we see a way to win that no one else does. When it comes to money, this feeling can be really powerful, but also a bit sneaky. It's about thinking you have a special edge, that you can understand how money works better than most people, or that you're somehow luckier, or smarter, or just have a secret trick. This isn't just about feeling good about yourself. It's a deep human desire. This idea that we can control things, that we can predict the unpredictable. Think back thousands of years. People would watch the sky, trying to guess when the rain would come for their crops, or when the best time to trade goods would be. They wanted to find patterns, to beat the unknown. It's part of our story, always wanting to outsmart the world around us. We crave control, and money, in its way, feels like a thing we can control, if only we're clever enough. But here's the thing. Money often moves in ways that are hard to predict. It's like trying to perfectly guess the path of a feather falling in a strong wind. You can see its general direction, but every little gust, every tiny shift in the air, changes its exact landing spot. People who study the weather use huge computers and tons of data, and even they can't be 100% right every time. The economy, and the way money flows, is even more complex than the weather. It's moved by millions of different decisions every second, by feelings, by news, by things happening far away. Imagine a giant online game where everyone is trying to find the same rare item. You might spend hours looking for hidden clues, convinced you've figured out a special strategy no one else has. You feel a rush when you think you're close. But then, someone else finds it, or the game updates, and your perfect plan suddenly doesn't work anymore. The money game can be a lot like that. We think we see a pattern, or a shortcut, but the rules are always shifting, and there are millions of other players, all trying to find their own hidden clues. So, what does this mean? It means understanding that, while it's great to be smart and try your best, there are always limits to what we can control. The world of money isn't really a game you beat by being the cleverest person in the room. It's more about understanding its flow, respecting its power, and making choices that are steady and thoughtful, rather than chasing after a secret that might not even exist. It's a calmer, wiser way to think about your place in this big, moving river of money. Have you ever clicked that button, the one that promises free shipping? It feels good, doesn't it? Like you're getting something extra, a special gift. But what if I told you that free might be one of the most powerful words in how you think about money? And often, it's not truly free at all. It's like a quiet whisper in your mind, guiding your choices without you even knowing. Here's the thing about free shipping. It's a kind of magic trick. The shipping cost doesn't just vanish into thin air. It simply moves. Companies still have to pay for the trucks, the gas, the people who pack your order, and the whole system that brings a package to your door. So, where does that money come from? Most often, it's built into the price of the item you're buying. The cost of shipping is hidden, tucked away inside the price tag. You don't see it as a separate charge, so it feels like you're saving money. But in reality, you might just be paying a slightly higher price for the item itself. Think about it like this. If you buy a t-shirt online for $25 with free shipping, the store might have actually priced that t-shirt at $20 and added the $5 shipping cost into the t-shirt's price. If they charged $20 for the shirt and $5 for shipping, you might hesitate. You'd see that $5 leaving your pocket. But combine it, and suddenly, $25 for a t-shirt with free shipping feels like a better deal. Our minds are wired to dislike losing money, even small amounts. That separate $5 shipping fee feels like a loss. But if it's already part of the total, it just feels like the price of the item. This idea isn't new. For a long time, people have known that the word free has an almost irresistible pull. It makes us feel smart, like we've outsmarted the system. Imagine you're trying to figure out a puzzle, like a Rubik's Cube. You twist one side, and a color moves to another spot. It doesn't disappear. It just changes its position. Free shipping is a bit like that. the cost of moving your item doesn't disappear. It just moves from being an obvious shipping fee to being quietly part of the item's price. So, when you see free shipping, it's not a magical act of something appearing from nothing. It's more like a clever rearranging of numbers. This simple word, free, has a deep power over us. It changes how we value things. It can make us choose one product over another, even if the total cost is the same or even a little more. It's a reminder that what seems free often has a hidden cost. A cost our minds are simply less likely to notice or complain about if it's presented in a certain way. It teaches us to look a little closer, to think about where all the parts of the cost are really coming from, and that's why it matters. Understanding this small trick helps you see the bigger picture of how money works and how our minds react to it. Have you ever noticed how something suddenly seems more interesting, or even more important, just because other people are talking about it? Maybe it's a new video game, a trending song, or even a brand of sneakers everyone at school wants. It's like their thoughts and opinions create a kind of pull, drawing you in. Why does that happen? Here's the thing. Our minds are wired in a way that makes us pay close attention to what other people do and say, especially when we're not quite sure what to think or do ourselves. It's like a built-in guide. When we see a lot of people buying something or talking about how great it is, a part of our brain just assumes it must be good. This isn't just about trying to fit in, though that's a part of it.